Hello, everyone. Thank you. Great to have Obi on here
Thanks
today with us on the How to Trade / Midday. We're going to be talking about reading ticker tape and the history of ticker tape, and I'm very excited for this lesson. First of all, how are you, Obi? How are you doing? How was your morning?
I'm okay. I'm all right. Kind of a little eventful with the whole Nvidia move, but yeah, not too bad there. But yeah, how about you? Any significant trades?
No trades yet. I was at the big desk. I'm actually eyeing Crocs. I might get into Crocs if we continue to see higher highs here. We're up 21%. We did have the catalyst with their revised projections. Crocs brand gonna see some revenue growth this year maybe. So yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I do like the look of Crocs. So thank you to everybody pulling into the chat. Igor Lil saying Obi long, Spark Shop, Darwin saying if the shoe fits. I like that Crocs pun there. Yeah, Sharif is off right now, but we do have Obi today, so exciting times to all people asking me about that. Today's lesson is about puns, says Manuel Palma. No,
yeah.
No, I mean, we probably could.
Maybe.
Right?
There may or may not be a couple puns there, but no guarantees.
Yeah,
no guarantees.
I think probably a few. But we'll have to see. We'll have to wait and see what happens. Were you in that Nvidia movement earlier today?
Yeah, I was. But again, I didn't really effectively capture it as well as I could have. I saw the tape ramping up into the 500, and I was like, yeah. Today's topic is about tape.
Yeah.
But yeah,
well, we can talk about that.
Yeah,
then
so
too,
that
right?
the tape was ramping up nicely into the 500. But again, like I said before, I got to work on my my execution structures and stuff. It wasn't another thing was it wasn't necessarily part of my main plan today. Here, let me just pull it up here so we can see what I kind of did on it.
Yeah.
A little bit of a fumble, I would say here. But yeah, so I get long. In the 497s, so 497 and some change. I get long into the 498, a little bit of an opening range high hold, and yeah, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna try to generate some cash flow into the 500, and let's see how it goes. So on the first test, I do peace out when that 500 kind of comes in as a little bit of a struggle there. Again, initial test, a little bit expected, so I do take out everything, but then it doesn't necessarily come back down as far as I'm expecting it to, and it just rips through the 500 instantly. Well, not really instantly, but like within the matter of a couple minutes, and just raging to the upside. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm gonna look and wait for a pullback to get long. And previous intraday all-time highs in and around that 505 area were broken, and this was the hold here. But I guess I was still waiting for it. I was looking for a little bit of a further pullback, maybe into the lower 500s to get long. But again, that was a little bit of a fumble on my part. Had the price initially, had the idea for the trade, but my execution structure not really the best in terms of capturing the move I'm thinking about. So still a lot better to do there, but a little bit of a tape read scalp nonetheless into the 500 for sure on Nvidia. So that was kind of the Nvidia move there. Again, congratulations to those who actually held on to the move for a 15-point move through that 500, absolutely wild. But again, when you think about it, it's a $500 ticker. Doing 15 points off the 500 break is not really too crazy, I think. But yeah, and it happened in the first 10 minutes, so very strong momentum as well. But yeah, let's. Do you wanna get started with the lesson today?
Yeah.
I just want to preface here, like I'm going to be talking about like reading the tape here, but I just want to let you guys know, like I know nothing. I'm still a trainee, like I'm still a developing trader. I'm still trying to figure things out. So the market is ever changing. Like this is just my perspective of how I view tape. Now every trader views tape a little bit differently. There are certain things that you can kind of base off of, but at the same time, I just want to make that clear, make it known that this is a developing perspective. And of course, we're going to have Neil chiming in as well, like an advanced, a more seasoned professional trader who actually has real perspective on some of these moves. So I just hope I can just, or we can just define some basic concepts and some things to potentially look for, and maybe how you can apply it into your trading as well. But I do want to preface that with this. We're just developing traders. So without any further ado, I'm going to let Dara kind of start us off with tape reading.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, let's do it. We're gonna kind of pass it back and forth here, talk about tape. hopefully do a little bit of learning here. I mean, I'm very new as well, like, so I think, you know, it'll be a whole everybody growing and learning together. Yeah, very exciting times. So kind of start with like the history of tape reading, because I think that's kind of cool. So it's a really old technique. It actually started in the 1860s. Fun fact here. Yep. And it was used to analyze price and volume of a stock, because prices used to be transmitted on literal ticker tape. So you'd have the ticker symbol, the price, and the volume, and that was it. That's how we have this whole beautiful, complex ecosystem we now have today with tape. So I think that's really interesting. The system as we knew it then has been phased out in the wake of, you know, computers, technological innovation, but modern traders do still use similar strategies. Oh, you're pulling up. That's smart. I was going to look up the photo too, but Obi's going to get us a photo here.
Right here. This is an old classical machine, kind of printing the ticker tape here, and then this is just an image from Wikipedia from back in the day. You got the little ticker tape printer here, and I think these ladies here are just switching up the prices on the board based off of what's coming in on the tape. So yeah. We've come quite a long way. Oh
yeah, I mean, there's no one in the little dress doing that now, right? The computers do that for you. So I think, yeah, that's really cool. And the history of ticker tape, it was invented in 1867 for Golden Stock Telegraph Company. Thomas Edison actually developed the first practical ticker in 1871, so he's often credited with inventing it. Did not invent it, but he did kind of develop it and elevate it, and it helped make the market more efficient. Devices soon, you know, began being used across major brokerages as primary means of price volume dissemination. And so several books have been written about tape reading. I really need to read Reminiscence of a Stock Operator. This sounds very interesting. Is it good?
Oh, it's amazing. It's a beautiful book. Jesse Livermore is who it's about, right? Yeah. So again, legendary trader, and he was one of the he was a pretty famous tape reader as well. So I think great book indeed.
Yeah, very exciting. Yeah. So I think now in terms of, even though this has kind of been phased out, what remains? That's what we kind of want to talk about here, right? So you still have your ticker symbol, the stock ticker, and then I think some things too that remained is like the culture around ticker tape, right? So the whole idea of don't fight the tape. I know this is like a thing you say a lot, like don't fight the trend, don't fight the tape, and I think the trend is your friend, right? So I think that all kind of comes from it, which I think is really interesting. And tape reading was eventually phased out in the 60s and 70s thanks to TV, computers. But the culture does linger, right, which I think is really interesting. Modern tape reading, now let's get to that for a moment here, involves looking at order books to analyze where the stock price might be headed. And you know, we'll definitely do some tape reading in the wild here, as we like to do here on the midday or on the How to Trade. So order books, unlike stock tickers, include non-executed trades. It gives a higher level of detail than is usually present. So for example, a trader might look at the order book for an asset and see large limit sell orders at certain price levels across multiple exchanges, which could indicate that we're going to experience some resistance at those levels. Or the opposite could be true. So if we have a lot of limit buy orders below the current price, suggesting support and giving, that would maybe give traders more confidence to buy above that level. And so many brokers give access to order books through level 2 quotes. So very interesting stuff. Also, T Blanc here with a $2 super chat. Did Neil use that ticker you showed a pic of? Ha ha, very, very funny there. But yeah, thank you so much for your super chat. Much appreciated. T Blanc, thank you for your support for the show. Yeah, I mean, I know you're a huge fan of tape reading. I guess, how did you get into tape reading, and what do you find it helps you with?
So, how did I get into tape reading? That's funny. When I first started trading, I didn't even know what the level 2 was, what the tape was, and it was just mainly just looking at charts, and people were like, "Oh no, you gotta look at the level 2. Like that's what traders really look at to kind of look at other players on in the field, right? So it's like the chart can only give you so much information, right? Like I'm sure we all use charts to different capacities and different extents, but at the same time, the chart is just historical data, right? At the end of the day, the raw data is what's coming in right here on the tape. You can see here. This is what I call the tape. Now again. Differs between the definitions can differ here and there, but this is the level. This is the book. This is a level 2 book, and this is a tape for me. And yeah, people were just like, okay, so you're gonna see what's already happened on the chart, but the tape in the book can actually show you who's sitting at levels that haven't been printed yet, and kind of gives you a perspective of where buyers and sellers can potentially or are potentially positioned visibly in the market. So that's what the book is useful for, and that's kind of so that's how I kind of initially got into it. People were like, okay, well, first of all, you gotta first of all get a broker that actually provides you level 2 data, right? So I signed up with a broker that did that, and I started slowly reviewing the tape and trying to understand what all these flashy colors and all these numbers that are jumping around actually mean. And you know what? I'm still on that journey, surprisingly. So yeah, no, it's always going to be trading is a journey, right? I don't think this journey is ending anytime soon in terms of learning the tape here. But yeah, that's kind of how I got started. People told me that, how do because I would ask, like, how can you get better at reading the tape? How can you get more effective at it? And people were just like, seat time.
Yeah.
Just spending time watching tape over and over again, and then watching key places, maybe pivot points and turns, or just like consolidations, and really getting familiar with what that may look like on the tape. So that's kind of how I got started.
Yeah, very cool. I mean, would you say too that you use the tape in conjunction then with the charts and then with other?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
it's
perfect.
It's I would say for me, with how I've been using it, it's a big part of like confluence and just factors like stacking on top of each other. Like I'll be looking at the tape for, again, entries and exits is what I think I've found it more effective for, and really kind of getting a gauge on just real-time supply and demand at a certain price or an area. Sometimes you can pick up on that a little bit. Again, we're going to be delving a little bit further into that as we go along there. So yes, that's kind of my thing. How about you? What have so far? Let us know about your experience about reading the tape and watching and seeing some of the things that you've picked up on and some of the things that you've learned.
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, hopefully I can give some good answers here. I would say I'm definitely more of a book person right now. I'm trying to get more into the tape, but yeah, I think like I really like to look at the price action and kind of see what we're doing on the book. Like, and I do that well before I get into a trade, but also while I'm in the trade. Like one could argue, I excessively kind of monitor the book to kind of see what price we're at, because I like to see kind of, are we fighting at certain levels? Are there certain areas that might be areas of resistance and support? And that's how I kind of like getting in and out of my trades that way. But yeah, I think in terms of the tape as well, I definitely would say I'm still very much learning it. I think though, even when I first kind of began my trading journey here, I know Brankles was talking a lot about like watching for certain levels and then planning your entries that way, right? Like in terms of certain price amounts, trying to get in, get out, like see where people are kind of, congregating around a price point, maybe a weird term to use, and then kind of get in that way. So I think that's an interesting look. I mean, I'm in this Crocs trade right now. Also, I guess I can, put the Crocs on right now here. So I got in around that 103.65 because I noticed we had a little bit of support over 103.70. Probably should have taken some stuff out here. After I got in, I realized this could be a little head and shoulders-y, but or like Christmas tree retracement. But I don't want to, I want to participate and not anticipate, to use a phrase that Sharif uses. I did this chop and churn around 102.85. I'm noticing that would probably be where I'm getting the whole position out, but I might get part of this position out at 104 if we get back to 104, because I think that's a decent support area. Gonna have to keep an eye on that because I do like the look of this here. So that's my look right now for Crocs with regards to how kind of tape reading and looking at price action is kind of interesting there. Because yeah, we didn't spend very long around 104, so that makes me a little bit nervous. But yeah, I think that I would say I think you're way farther along on your tape reading journey, and I'd like to get farther and kind of study it more and get a better sense of how it moves.
Yeah, I'm definitely not far enough. It was funny. I think it was last week. Again, an infamous trader that is gone through here, Saj, and I had a conversation. I think it was last Friday, and he was basically like, "Oh, you think you have time reading tape?" And we basically did a comparison of like the number of seconds per year, him versus me. He's like, yeah, he really put me in my place. I was like, yeah, I know absolutely nothing compared to some a lot of the like this senior, a lot more advanced traders there. But yeah, so. I just wanna take a look at I just want to talk about how it kind of progressed over time, right? Yeah. We talked about how initially it's called ticker tape because it was printed on piece of paper. You guys saw that, and over time it became electric, right? It got digitized, and now this is what it's become right here. What you're seeing on my screen here. So you know what? For today, I'm gonna kind of blow this up a little bit here, and we can potentially put some of this other stuff to the side here, so we can take a quick look. And I guess we'll start off with an introduction at just how I'm reading the book and the tape. Oh, yeah. Thanks, guys. Yeah, I do like that zoom in into the book and the level and the tape there. So I personally have a lot of my stuff color coded, right? Here, so I like to kind of gradient the level 2 book here, and we're going to get into why I might potentially like that as well. So you know what? Let me do. I'm going to highlight this actually. Here, 1 second. This is another thing. This is another great thing about being so customizable with some of your with the what do you call it, the level 2 book itself. You can throw in filters, you can throw in a lot of different things to kind of serve as indicators to your trading. So you guys are all familiar that the charts have different indicators, but tape itself also has its own many different indicators. In my opinion, we're definitely going to be going through some of those as well. So let me just throw that in. All right, so what is level 1? So level 1 right now is the current price that's being traded in the live market right here. You can see these two numbers here. This is a level 1. So this is the bid and this is the ask here. So the bid is at 510.60s. We're looking at Nvidia right now, and the ask is at 510.70s. And now this is going to dynamically change as price gets printed. Goes through the buyers and sellers, right? And then here, this is the actual receipt. This is what I call the tape, right? Yep. So this is the actual receipt of orders that are going through the market. It says the price, it says the amount of size, it says what gate they're going through on, and it tells you what time the order has been processed, right? Oof. Now I have different colors. Again, we'll get into what those colors mean in a little bit, but this is just a quick kind of a breakdown of what we're looking at exactly here. So on the left side of the book, this is called the book right here. So right here. Okay, perfect. I got the little thing. So this is called the book. So on the left side of the book, you have your buyers. On the right side, you have your sellers. You have your lot sizes here. The 1 means that's a 1 lot. 2 means that's a 2 lot. 3s are 3 lots. So this is telling you size. So these are all buyers that are sitting in the book at these respective prices for this amount of size. And then these are sellers who are sitting on the book for this kind of size at these respective prices at these respective gates. So over time, you can get an idea of you know, how different size can show up and give you an idea of buying pressure or selling pressure or intent, right? It's showing you intent. Okay. Like, okay, if there's a large buyer, there's a large buying intent. If there's a large seller that shows up, there's a large selling intent. And now, what price does with those, I have no idea. But you gotta wait and observe and kind of pick up on some of those things there. Yeah. And then. So I think people ask, what are these colors? It's just I like a little bit of a gradient, just going from lighter to dark. And I think personally now, again, I've taken this from more experienced traders. There's a bunch of videos online as well, kind of talking about like how to set up your level 2 book. And I like the gradient because I think it kind of gives you an idea of aggression on each side. Oh, like you can see how the buyers are pushing into the level 1. You can see how the sellers are getting pushed off of the level 1 as well, right? So you can see how heavy the price is going into the bid, how heavy the price is going into the ask, and based off of that, you can get a little bit of a read of buying or selling pressure, respectively, right? Yeah. And so we can also get into the colors. I like to differentiate the colors as well. the yellow prints are mid prints, so these are prices that are going in between the bid and the ask. A lot of them half prints as well, kind of half cent prints. You have red for prices that are being print exactly on the bid. You have green for prices that are getting printed on the ask itself, and then you have dark green and light green. So if it's dark green, these are prices that were printed below the bid. So you can be like, okay, well, someone's sitting there at the bid, but if prices are printing below the bid, right, there could be some sell pressure because it's actually getting through the bid and printing prices a little below, and vice versa for the other side. If you get a bright green, it's buyers pushing through the current ask price and price actually printing above the current ask in that moment. So you can get an idea for a little bit of buying pressure as well when the tape comes in like that. So that's just a quick summary of how I have my tape set up in terms of colors, in terms of layout. Now, again, positioning, another thing I think a lot of people don't really talk about is like positioning on your screen, right? Relative to kind of comfort. Some people like it on the left, some people like it on the right, some people like it below the chart, beside the chart. So that's all like up to your discretion, like whatever you feel most comfortable with. I like to have the tape right beside kind of the upper part of the book here, so I can visualize, I can see both places at the same time there. So again, that's just kind of up to you. So that's kind of just a quick introduction that I had on the layout of the tape there. So do you want to add anything to that, Adair? How have you set up your tape, and how do you look for the colors changing? Right? I see that you do have your colors kind of on the tape differentiated from orders going through the bid and going through the ask as well.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be really honest. I need to spend more time kind of customizing mine. I think it's just kind of how it's set. You know what I mean? Like I've got the just kind of the red and the green here. But yeah, I think I want to definitely spend more time with colors so I can get kind of more accustomed and comfortable with what each color is kind of telling me. I think that your system is definitely got a lot stronger setup there. I mean, same with there's my tape there all zoomed in. Yeah. But yeah, no, honestly, I definitely have not spent at all enough time kind of playing around with my tape. And I think it's I definitely want to spend more time with. I'm pretty sure mine is just kind of bid and ask is kind of what we have going on here. So green and then red. I think generally what I'll kind of watch is see if we have a wave coming in of buying or selling, that'll give me a sense of should I get in, should I get out, should I stay? That's kind of what I use it for, but I want to spend more time kind of accustoming myself and reading. I will say too though, like I said, I would probably say I'm a bit more comfortable with the book as well a bit, just because I like kind of seeing the specific prices and seeing where we're kind of fighting at certain prices. So for this Crocs long, I got out around 104 because, as I said, I was watching the book at 104, and we kind of had this wick into 104 and then back down. So I said, if we can get that again, then I'll just get out there. We did, so I got out. But I think, yeah, so I would say I think I pay less attention to the colors and more just kind of the numbers that I'm seeing on the tape. And I think I'd like to change that because I like how you have your whole saturation of colors indicating what's happening in the tape. And I think the way that you describe the tape is really interesting because I think you kind of show the extent to which you're almost seeing a psychological and you're seeing the sentiment of the tape as well, right? So I think it is a really good way of looking at it. I think I look at it more kind of numerically. Do you know what I mean? What numbers are we seeing? And I'm trying to look at it more for, work on more what you're doing here, which I think is really cool. Also a question from Elon. Hi, Adair and Obi, hello. A large volume on bid close to the mark may not necessarily mean pushing price higher, right? And vice versa?
Yeah, exactly. So sometimes you'll see a large bid show up. It doesn't necessarily mean that price is going to go up right away, right? It's just information. It's a little bit of depth into what may be potentially happening here. And I think some people like to put it this way: the level 2 book is kind of looking into the potential future, right? So you can see the interest of players that are potentially sitting at different prices in the bid and potentially sitting at different prices on the ask. So yeah, you can see intent of a large buyer when the size does show up on the level 2 there. But yeah, no, it doesn't necessarily always mean that price is going to go up just because someone intends to buy some large size. So I think a big part of that, again, and I'm sure Neil can speak on this a little bit more. But when size does show up, I think you want to be watching what price kind of does with that size, how we print in and around that size, and the behavior that happens when that size kind of shows up. And that's something I'm still trying to learn and grasp there. So yeah, no, definitely good question. Size not always indicative of direction, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that. But sometimes, here's the thing though, sometimes you can see that size is chasing, and I've noticed this quite a few times where size will maybe show up on the bid and price is running away from it, and it'll incrementally keep posting higher and higher as price is running away, almost chasing the price up, and that sometimes can kind of signal a little bit of sentiment, and maybe you can potentially structure something around that kind of behavior on the tape. But yeah, no, size definitely important. Size and volume, again, we talk about how volume is important on charts. Same thing on level 2, volume definitely important. And something that we can do here is you can see, like the tape is telling you, look, that's 1 share, that's 40 shares, that's 200, that's 800 shares. If you want to look for larger size, which I do, you can put on a filter here, and it'll only show you. Oh. I put on 99 filter, so it only shows me all the orders that are doing above 100 shares, or above. So if I on a ticker like Nvidia, where I'm like, I don't really care who's buying 10 shares, 20 shares. I want to know I want to know anything and everything above 100 shares, above a 1 lot, so I can throw that filter on as well. So I think that's also kind of useful in times. And I do like to use size filters. There's gate filters you can use. There's price filters. I don't know why you might want to use that, but again, you can get really customized with the way you're observing your level 2, and kind of add that to your strategy as well, right? So yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely gonna have to get more accustomed to that, because I think like the extent to which you've customized your tape and book here, I really like, and that's something I want to kind of incorporate as well, because like I said, I think I like the book, but I'm trying to get more kind of accustomed and familiar with the tape. I have a question for you then, if you don't mind. So just because I'm trying to learn here as well, right? I think, do you change the size filter depending on what stock it is? So would you filter for higher size bids if it's a stock that people tend to buy higher amounts of, or would it be like a lower? I don't know if that's a thing.
I have like, I use multiple kind of tape windows.
Okay.
I can pull one in right now here, like on Nvidia. I have this one right here. So for Nvidia, I have this one kind of sorted for like large lot sizes. So anything above like 1,000 shares. So I'm like, okay, where are some of these block traders moving some size? Potentially, can I get a better perspective of a little bit of depth based off of, or not really depth, but like what's happening with larger size participants as well. So yeah, sometimes depending on the stock, I do put on a filter to kind of assess, okay, well, if it's like, if it's something, for example, I can use Nvidia as well. If it's something like Nvidia, I don't want to know necessarily what all the size underneath 100 shares is necessarily doing. Yeah. I'm more interested in a larger lot size like that, but that's just me right now. So
yeah. Some people
I do change it
size
around.
Filter too in the chat as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Size, again, you got to get creative, right? You got to get creative. This is all like information. A lot of it is very like stimulating. It's a lot all at once. So I think that anything and everything that basically that's kind of the path that I took. Anything and everything I can do to make it easier for myself to read and myself to interpret. I've tried to apply different types of filters and colors and try to make the book kind of easier to read there. And I think it was James Dell in the chat earlier. I was just reading, kind of like he was talking about how it looks kind of like the game, and how gaming he can see how gaming is a transferable skill to this. And yeah, that's cool. Why I kind of view it like that. This is kind of like the landscape. This is the map. right? You get dropped on a map. This is the map of NVIDIA right now live, and you can see participants kind of on both sides. And if you watch it for long enough and you create and build a bigger picture story as the price action kind of carries out on the day, I think the tape can definitely be a good tool to kind of direct and kind of help you with the confluence in your trade ideas. Right, I found that it's for me it's been pretty effective in that sense. But again, I got to do much better at kind of respecting the market generated information and respecting and giving weight to certain things on tape. So yeah. I guess another ticker I was watching was BA here, a little pulling back off of its pre-market highs as well. So I'm kind of watching that. I'm trying to look for different tickers that we can pull up and look for potential areas of support and resistance that they're testing, and then we can go into the tape right there and be like, okay, do like a live potential just to look-see at what the tape can be doing at a level that it's shown to be support or resistance before. So Boeing kind of holding underneath that pre-market high as well. I'm going to give it some more time there. But Dara, you wanna take us forward with this lesson?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, briefly, I just want to touch on Tesla because I'm seeing DVDRD43. Here we go, Tesla. I looked on my side chart. Yeah, I just want to point out here. Thank you for bringing that one up. DVDRD. And then someone else as well, Forex and Gold, saying Tesla to 242. I mean, Tesla definitely pushing this 238.60, this previous area of resistance. I think Tesla is quite rangy in a way that I find interesting as well, to some extent. I mean, we had this bottom of this 236.30, then this kind of 237 area is also kind of interesting as an area of smaller resistance. I think breaking above this 238.60 would definitely be a good sign for Tesla moving forward. In terms of the 242 area mentioned here by Forex and Gold, yeah, I think 243 kind of also an interesting area of potential resistance. Tesla's been, like, we had Friday we ended to the upside, but we definitely had some more negative days for Tesla. So it'll take maybe a moment for it to kind of get going again. I think first this decisive break above this 238.50 that would, or 238.60, so I think that would be pretty interesting at first, and then we'll kind of see what we can do from there. But I appreciate everybody saying Tesla in this chat here. Dam in the chat saying Tesla maybe 240s a day. Yeah, I would say Tesla 240 is probably, definitely some potential there. But, we don't want to assume. All we can say right now is Tesla's pushing this 238.60. Definitely an interesting area for Tesla. Yeah, I mean, let's, I'll go back into tape reading, and I just wanted to address that because some mentions of that in the chat. So, what is featured on the tape, right? So you do have your symbol. You need to know what symbol is being traded. Volumes, that's be the number of shares traded, the number of lots. Price per share. So what price was the trade executed at? And then is it, are we up or below the previous day's closing price? I think this is kind of a different look at tape, but also relevant here. So some e-tickers as well, using green to indicate higher prices, red to indicate lower prices. And then as of 2001, this is kind of an interesting fact, all prices are used in decimals. They used to be shown in fractions. Yep. Now they're all used in decimals. Yeah, a little history nerd over here. I thought that was kind of interesting because I like knowing stuff like that.
I read a couple types of things about that time. It's kind of crazy because they would trade at like fractions. You'd have like a price here, and it would trade at that, and it would automatically go up to the next fraction. So I think the before decimalization, it was like eighths. They would trade in eighths, like 1/8, 2/8. So yeah, I think that's definitely that's definitely interesting. Some of the strategies that I've read about, kind of people playing the spread.
Oh, okay.
And really, that would 1/8 would be the spread, and you could potentially see like demand coming in, and sometimes I don't know. I think Neil can definitely talk more about this, like different sellers and buyers at those different spreads, and you could just kind of arbitrage cool. in between the spread there. So again, when Neil comes back, I definitely want to ask him on that. He definitely knows a lot more about some of the arbs when the prices were fractions. Yeah, I just wanted to add that in. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, it's okay. I appreciate
you
that's adding definitely, that context.
Yeah, I just remember that. I was like, okay, gotta ask Neil when he's back.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Wuko saying I learned to trade in 1/8 in high school. I mean, that's really, I mean, it's cool that you were learning to trade in high school too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's really interesting. I'm just going to pass it to you for a moment here. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, lucky. I wish I started much earlier as well. So I'm just going to kind of continue here. With the talking about the tape, and again, just having a casual lesson, just kind of portraying what I've learned so far along on my journey, and some of the things that I potentially look for, and what some of the sources say to look for, I guess, as well. So. Again, I also want to say, I kind of reiterate, reading the tape. Now, different traders use it differently, just like charts, just like books, just like information. Like, it's all the same. Like, if I'm looking at this and somebody else is looking at this, like we have the same visual input, right? But the way we're interpreting it and the way we're reading it can be potentially different, right? So I think I just want to point out that interesting kind of fact about tape reading. Again, you talk to other traders about what they're seeing on the tape, what they're looking at, and a lot of the time it's just like, well, not a lot of the time. There's a lot of time we see similar things. Like if there's like a large buyer, obviously nobody can be like, oh, well, I think that's a seller, right? There's going to be no discrepancy there. But in terms of just like behavior, the way something is bidding, the way something is grinding up, the way something rebids, or the way something is being sold off or bought up, that can be inferred differently. Again, I think another thing that kind of matters is where you're looking at the tape here. On the chart, right? So the chart kind of shows you positioning in terms of like price, where we are, and there's different positions you can be on the chart as well, right? So I'm going to just use Boeing here because I have it up. So again, we talk about using Confluence to kind of guide our trading here, right? So people asking where potentially can you use a tape read? Again, kind of at key areas, right? You see that pre-market lows here. I would say that the tape probably looks interesting in here. Tape probably looks interesting in and around VWAP as well. Right around structure that we've had on the chart before. I think I tend to like to look at tape in and around some of those prices. So you have VWAP, you have highs and lows, you have consolidation ranges, right? You have opening ranges, you have end of day ranges, you have closing prices from the day before, and again, high volume bars. So you can use tape in a lot of different places. Like I said before, I think that for me, it's been the most effective in and around kind of decision making and assessing kind of the flow at times, and also with entries and exits, right? Sometimes you can see the change of pace in the tape. The aggression of the tape can kind of change, and that could potentially cause you to make a decision. Right, so that's a big part of kind of when and where to potentially be looking at the tape. And I think I talk about sometimes being lost in the sauce, and I am definitely lost in the sauce when I'm looking at the tape at places where the tape shouldn't necessarily be looked at. Right, that's another point to say on that. Not really necessarily too helpful all of the time, but if you're precise and if you're looking at it at the right places, I think it can definitely add to your decision making here. NVIDIA kind of pushing back towards those highs, 515 coming in here. So I was just talking about like where you can potentially be using the tape at key areas, at different structure points on in terms of past price action, historical price action, support and resistance areas. Let me pull up something like Softy because that 370 was interesting, and wow, lo and behold, take a look at that. 370 was interesting last week, and take a look at what it's doing with 370 today. So Softy's in a little bit of a range here, so let's pull up Softy and we'll take a look at what that 370 does every time we kind of come back in. So you can see on the chart, we talk about the chart being delayed information, delayed data there. You can see that with the limited information that's been printed on the chart, every time we've come into this 370, 369.80s, we've basically been rebid back up into this 371 area, 370.80s-ish, and it's a very nice choppy range, and it's pretty defined as well. So we can take a quick look at this when Softy comes back into those 370s. I'll just pull it up here so you guys can see MSFT. All right, so we're pretty much right there at the 370s right now, but the area is more into that 370. It's a pretty tight range, right? 370.80s is the high, so we're pretty much in the middle, dill in the middle. VWAP's right there, 370.20, so we're right at VWAP. So I'm curious to know what we do when we come into this lower end of this range here. And again, time of day also being kind of a little bit of a factor. We're pushing into 12 o'clock as well. A lot of the morning momentum potentially slowing down. You can see the NQ is slowing down as well. The morning drive was quite strong, and now we've gone a little sideways here on top of some of these 15-minute bars we've been printing over the past hour or so. So yeah, so it's areas like that I think can be helpful to look at the tape here for that. So that's kind of what I was speaking.
Yeah, no, thank you for jumping on that for a moment. I just want to take a quick moment to thank our sponsor, Surge Trader, where traders can get a virtual funded trading account up to $1 million. Trade indices including the Dow, S&P, Russell, NASDAQ, oil, gold, BTC, and Forex pairs. So lots of options there. You just have to go to surgetrader.com/TTV and use the promo code TTV for 10% off. So thank you very much, as always, to Surge Trader. Yeah, I think definitely it's interesting the extent to which you can use the tape and the book to kind of elevate, I guess, your trading strategy. And I think as someone who uses the book, and I would say is like maybe too reliant on the book at times, I'm excited to get the colors in there and kind of color code it, make it easier for my reading leisure for the tape there, and incorporate the tape as well, right? Because I think that would be very interesting take, and I guess a way to improve kind of trading here. I mean, Google ripping right now. I just want to take a quick look to see what is going on with Google here. Thank you. Any trades you're looking at right now, or?
Yeah, I'm actually looking because I'm like I want to try to show an example of a potential tape read. So I did pull up Amazon, a ticker I may or may not be a little comfortable with, but so I can see here that it's coming into VWAP here and kind of holding higher lows as well above VWAP. We have slowed down a little bit, gone sideways. Again, we talk about the NQ going sideways as well. And in and around VWAP, we're holding as of right now on a potential higher low relative to what we did in the morning session here. So hold of VWAP, coming back in, potential hold of VWAP, but we are going into the lunchtime. So with that, I do kind of, okay, so I pulled this over here so you guys can get a better look at it. Not really, we don't need to look at BA right now, but Amazon in and around VWAP here, holding higher highs. So I'm just going to take a look and see here if there's anything significant. Now again, here's the thing: tape reading is not really a too fun and exciting activity. You got to sit there, you got to scope it out, you got to wait, you got to see kind of relative change, and yeah, you stare long enough. Sometimes you see kind of outlier things happening where size might pull up, things might happen. So we're right on top of VWAP here. I have VWAP as 147.52, and the level 1 is showing a cross of 57 to 58. So we're pretty much a few pennies just away from VWAP here. So let's see what kind of behavior we're getting in and around VWAP. Again, VWAP 52s. Do we see any participants down at VWAP? You can see that there's 15 lots. If you go down in the book, there isn't really that much size until there's a little bit of a 15 guy showing up, a little bit of a spoofy man right there in the 16s. Okay, 56 right there. So there's 15 lots on top, and then there's 15 lots at 50. So there's a little bit of volume in and around this VWAP. So that, again, something to note, right? Now, I'm not necessarily going to make a decision off of it, but like I said before, I think you can see some interesting things on the level 2 and the tape when you have different structures that show up. For example, VWAP, for example, consolidations, opening ranges, things like that. just different structures that you're seeing on the chart. So 52, we're coming right back into VWAP. Now, there is a lot of times where VWAP doesn't mean anything, right? We could just flush through VWAP as if nobody's business, and that's information as well, right? If we're not doing anything with VWAP, why do I make a decision? Why do I want to make a decision if we're doing absolutely nothing there, right? If we're not holding, or if we are selling off and flushing through it after we've made lower highs, I do want to keep that in mind as well. So VWAP is in and around here. I want to see how we claim or reclaim above or below VWAP here. So a little bit of a selling. You can see, look, as soon as we got through the 52s, you got those dark reds, so below the bid flush when we get that VWAP test here. So we're holding those 52s, we get a little bit of a rebid. So it's just, that's something I feel like I'm kind of like a play-by-play sportscaster here.
Yeah, I was gonna say like the way I'm like,
So it's like there's no real size kind of showing up, but the book did get a little bit thicker here. We saw that before it was all ones, and then we got some fives and some eights, closer to the mid tens and closer to the 10, like a 10 lot in and around that area. So you can see the difference. Sometimes you can see the difference between do you have a thicker bid or do you have a thicker ask here, and you can kind of look at the potential interest that you have in and around some of these levels here. So we are kind of bidding up on top of VWAP there. So let's see. I'm just gonna take a quick fill again, minimal size, just to show as an example, right? So. Let's see if this these 50s area hold, right? And then let's see right here. So we got a low here, a little bit of a base that happened before in and around these 30s. So you know what? I think I want to put my risk in and around some of those levels as well. Okay, so. Looked at a little bit of VWAP there, and again, nothing too crazy, but I'm just going to be using this strictly as an example there. So if we saw some size there, if we saw a lot of churning, if we saw a failure to follow through below VWAP keeps getting bid. You kind of push into VWAP if sellers are pushing into VWAP, and then we get a rebid. Potentially, it can be showing some buyers, but then again, I don't know. I have no idea. I just pulled it up and I saw VWAP, right? I'm just using this as strictly as an example, right? This is not really a trade I have planned or I'm kind of hoping to do well on, right? So that being said, I just wanted to give like a quick example there of a potential VWAP hold. But again, we're getting weak in and around some of those prices there. So I did kind of put in a stop there. Let's see how it kind of works out. But that's an example of a potential VWAP tape getting interesting in and around that VWAP. But again, we're looking heavy around off that VWAP. We have made lower highs, and it is 12 o'clock, so long might not be the best idea through that VWAP. Is all I'm gonna say there. But we'll let it play out there. We have already held VWAP kind of earlier today, and this is the second kind of test pullback into VWAP, and we're doing a little bit of a consolidation. So I will let that kind of play out. I have no idea what the price is going to do, but I've exercised a little bit of a bias with a limited risk in and around that area, using the tape as a little bit of a guide as well. So that's kind of what I was going for. So we talked about kind of Softy coming into some of that ranges as well. Let me take a quick look at Softy to see if Softy came back in to that level here. I'm not really watching it. I should be watching a little bit closer. I can just pull that up. Okay. All right, so we kind of we might have missed that a little bit. VWAP hold, so you kind of bid right back up. You don't even get down to those 370s, and buying kind of steps up. So you can see higher lows, right? Relatively higher lows. So here's a few factors as well, right? You had a strong open. The open held VWAP. You can call this opening range high, opening range low. Right? This consolidation held above opening range high, held above VWAP, and now we're pushing to the highs of the day as the NQ kind of still in and around this the upper quartile of its crazy run up that we had off the open, the push off the 16.5, right? So again, a little bit of buying, maybe potentially higher lows, but consolidation sideways. Definitely VWAP being held, and I think that that buying pressure at that 370 with the limited information that's been printed on the chart is showing that 370 might have some buying. And I think if you were looking at the tape in and around those areas, you might have seen some of that pressure kind of come in as well. So that's just a quick like an example of how we can be potentially using the tape, what the tape really is. And again, I know a lot of people just trade off the charts. Not every broker necessarily gives you level 2 data, and I think that level 2 data again gives you a deeper look into the market that you're trading, what potential buying and selling pressures may be pulling up, or how it looks like on the tape here, right? Like this is a little bit of a pulse. That's what I like to kind of see it as, right? It's like it's a little bit of a pulse of the ticker. You can see kind of oh, is it jitter up, jitter down? How's it feeling? Is it sick? You know, is the tape speed different today relative to yesterday, relative to what we've been doing over the past couple of moments or whatever? Kind of like I said, building a picture of the overall and giving you a perspective of a deeper look in the market, right? We talked about different sizing, way to look at it, and yeah, I think we covered a decent portion of just like the basics of the tape there. Did you have things to add?
Actually, yeah. I mean, I was just gonna say, I really appreciate you kind of talking about the way that you can find, to borrow your word, confluence here with VWAP and other indicators. Because I think it kind of goes back to what I was saying, like with regards to marrying chart reading and tape or book reading, because I think that's something I'm trying to work on, right? So I mean, even in this AMD long that I got into, we're hanging out, we're swimming, we're chilling, it's doing its thing, 21. But I got in on this, and then I kind of panicked once I got in, because I got in mostly paying attention to the book. We had some support above 145. I got in just kind of above 145 there, because we kept kind of taking wicks back to there. Also, thank you so much to Elon. Trader TV traders are amazing. Thank you so much. We're here because of everybody in the chat. So. And everybody who watches, so thank you so much for that. But yeah, I got distracted there with that lovely compliment. AMD is, I think, like, I got in here, and then I kind of looked back, and I was like, maybe I should have paid more attention to the chart, because look, we kept, kind of losing the plot a bit off this 145, so I was like, maybe I paid too much attention to the book. I should have looked at the chart more. Right now it's working out, but it is something that's going to give me pause. You know what I mean? I'm going to be very cognizant of the fact we could fall off this 145. And so I think I'm probably going to have a pretty tight out. Like, I think if we fall decisively below 145.90, I'm probably going to have to skedaddle out of this trade, right? So I think it's something I should have considered ahead of time, like looking at the chart as well. And I don't know why I didn't, because usually I will kind of cross-reference the chart. But I think it's the example of how one can get a little bit lost in the sauce. To use another obiism here, to get lost in the sauce and pay too much attention to what's happening in the book or tape, and kind of get sidetracked from the chart movement, which is also really important to get a sense of what is, what's going on with regards to the overall picture of the market. Yeah, because like you were saying, I really like that analogy of how the tape or the book are just one aspect of the overall trading picture. It gives you the pulse, but it's not going to give you the overall, like it's not going to give you the temperature. You know what I mean? It's just one part of to kind of expand on.
You got to take the vitals. Yeah. You got to take the vitals.
Sorry, I shouted there. But yeah, I thought that was really interesting. Michael Mulvey just saying here, market showing us how this year will be chop. Not a bad assessment. I have to agree so far with this assessment. I mean, the year is still very young. So we're going to have to see here. But also, I know we're getting kind of to close to 12 o'clock here. I have a question for you as well. I think kind of something we could kind of have a, converse over here. Is there ever a moment, because I know you were saying like, screen time is really important sitting in front of the tape. Is there a moment sometimes where once you're in a trade, you have to like step back or avoid the tape and just kind of let the trade happen?
This is something I've been
with it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a great question there. This is something I've been kind of noticing as well as of recent. Again, getting lost in the sauce. Speaking more about that, and so there have been times where I'm like, okay, this is my price. I like what the tape is doing. It's giving me the tailwind that I want to see to get into the trade plan in the direction that I'm looking for, with the tape showing me what I'm potentially looking for, right? And again, that's with if-then statements, right? In the morning plan, if you're like, okay, this is my price. If the tape looks like this, coming into this price. If we do this, I want to be looking for that, et cetera, et cetera. But other than that, kind of if I start looking at it in other places, for example, let me give you an example here. Say if I came in the morning and I was like, 147, I like 147 as a level, and if we hold above 147 and we're holding above VWAP, I want to see buying pressure and bids hold on the tape at this level to take it to 148. So if that is the plan coming into the morning, I've gotten long on top of VWAP after seeing a little bit of buying pressure there and a little bit of a bigger picture story where we are holding VWAP and we've stepped up and VWAP is higher as well, and we're holding above that 147 as well, and the market is strong. Yeah, after I've seen all of that and I've got into the position, I might want to step away because there could be a lot of fugays and a lot of kind of a chop and things that are just noise on the tape in between some of those prices, right? So that's a good point that you made there. Sometimes it does help to kind of walk away and not really take a look at it at places where you're not really looking for anything interesting to happen. At those prices, but that's just kind of again at the point of the journey I'm at right now when it comes to tape reading and kind of trying to figure this stuff out, right? So definitely kind of away from the stimulation when it's not really part of your plan is definitely a good look there. So
yeah.
No, I do like that kind of spacing yourself out. Now again, something I got to do better with. I find myself sometimes you kind of honed in, you're kind of in the zone, you're just staring, and then you find yourself staring and then looking for confirmation bias a lot of the time, right? You can be like, oh, I want to get short. This might not be my price, but I'm staring at the tape. And I'm looking for anything that even hints at the smell of selling to kind of initiate, and that sometimes that can get me into a lot of trouble as well. I'm kind of jumping the gun for the trade plan, and that definitely skews your RR. Doesn't necessarily kind of give you the best stats for reviewing how you executed the plan if you're kind of executing haphazardly like that, not really following the rules again. Something I'm trying to get better at more and more there. But yeah, that's kind of an example of how I would kind of step away, look at it where I'm interested, and then maybe take a step back because I got the stop in. I've accepted the risk I'm willing to take, and I'm looking for a certain price target. Whether we get there or not, I have no idea. But yeah, I think it's just that.
Yeah, I'm just silent there because I just completely did like what we were just saying. I got way too into the book reading and then I lost the plot a little bit. Got out of this AMD long because we were having some struggles staying at 145, and now we're at 145.40. So if I had looked, which was actually where I was going to take my profit. So if I'd spent less time looking at the book, I could have stayed in this trade and actually done well. So accidental lesson learned here. But I mean, we're hearing how to trade. I think, especially as someone who's a very, very new trader, I think hopefully part of it is we're all kind of learning together. I've said this in the chat. I think we've had this conversation, before, but I think this was a little bit of a sad moment for me and hopefully something I'll learn from. Yeah, I was talking to Juan Padilla, I believe, about AMD in the chat, and he was saying, yeah, could be kind of a range short, but also really strong with chips. I think what I might do is something I do a lot, weirdly, specifically with Meta, but I can do it with other stocks too, I guess, is kind of going short at like if we have like kind of an upward or downward trend, go long when it's long, go short when it's kind of going to the downside, and just kind of get in and out of that. I don't know why I specifically do that with Meta a lot, but I do, and Meta actually is kind of looking like it's setting up for that as well right now. Yeah, so there we go. So Meta actually might be a good candidate for this as well. But I like I said, I'm super rangy, I'm super scalpy, and I find this is kind of a way that I get to have the best of both worlds. Shout out to Miley Cyrus. Also, I find it interesting too, so your market section, so you've changed like the cap, you made it lowercase. I just noticed that too in your tape for the market section, how it's lowercase.
Oh, okay. So
yeah, sorry.
This is just how the live tape looks. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So like on the TMS, like you're trading on the sim account, right? So on the sim account, the gates are capital letters. On a live, the gates look a little bit different.
That. So it's just all the gateways and stuff. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. Also, yeah. So I guess, and I forgive me if you touched upon this earlier, but another question I'm kind of having is, I guess, what is there certain information that you can glean from what gateways are used, and does that impact your strategy at all with entering and exiting? Because it's not something that
is a good question. Yeah, no, gates. I think again, if you look up kind of. I think ECN fees. A lot of people kind of don't know about a lot of the gates that do exist. And again, I don't know. I don't know a lot of the gates in terms of like all the markets. But for like NASDAQ, you have a full list, and each of these letters here. Good reminder that we forgot to kind of go over what each of these letters kind of mean, right? So each of these letters are representing kind of a different gateway there. All the D's are dark print, so it's a dark pool print, and then different letters are different gates there. So some gates you can see here on my level 2 book that certain gates are marked in with a black highlight, right? So those are my inverse gates. So those are gates where you basically the participant is willing to pay to get a fill.
Oh, okay.
Right.
I see.
Whereas other participants, they're passively waiting, and they might even get rebates to get the fill. So with inverse gateways, if for example, okay, how I've kind of observed it before is like if a lot of inverse gateways stack up on the bid, people are willing to pay money to buy at that price.
Oh, see.
That is the information that's being displayed. Now, that's up to your interpretation. Yeah. How you want to interpret that, how you want to take away what how price actually behaves with those participants. But what I can speak on is like if someone is displaying intent, you can see it very clearly by filtering some of those gates there. So yeah, gates can be interesting as well. There's certain gates that I do like to look for. Again. There's gates that'll give you rebates. There's gates that cost a lot more. There's more expensive gates, less expensive gates, and you can kind of read sentiment that way as well. Kind of a more deeper look into how the order flow is actually coming in based off of what gates are being used. Right?
Yeah, yeah, no, I think it's a lot. I'm excited to learn a lot more about that, so I appreciate you going over that. And for now, we're actually going to learn more, thank you, with Neil over here. So I think, are we good to go? With that, we're not good to go.
Okay.
Sorry, I was confused. I'm sorry, I misinterpreted the thing. But never mind, we're all good right now. Bears versus Bulls saying LOL Gates animation. Yeah, I enjoyed that kind of, I guess, interruption there with the Gates. But yeah, I think also, too, it's interesting. I didn't realize it was in capitals for the
training module.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's very interesting. Yeah, I'm excited to learn. Oh, sorry, are we good now? I'm so sorry about that, guys. I'm always doing this. I'm trying to cut to things too early. I'm very sorry, Neil. But thank you so much for coming in. Min in the chat, what a day. What a day is right. But yeah, excited. We're going to learn some more with Neil. I'm very excited. Thank you so much for coming on, and I apologize for all of the jump scares involved in that. And yeah, let's go over to Neil.
Take it away.
Thank you very much, Adair. Don't apologize for anything. I didn't even, I thought I was ready. I didn't even have my mic unmuted there. So, I think it's a fantastic topic that's being discussed today. When we look at tape reading, when we look at the level 2, those are two things that a lot of traders, when you're starting out, you know what a chart looks like, you know what it is, you have an intuitive sense of what it's telling you. But when you look at a level 2, when you look at the time and sales, maybe not the same thing. So what I wanted to look at today was maybe a little bit of a differentiation between what was going on before, and it's more what is important to look at on the level 2, and where would you use that type of a thing. So I picked an example here, C3AI, just because it fits what I want to look to be able to do here. So first off, let me actually go back to the chart, because it's a range-bound stock. Let's get this one out of the way. It's pretty easy to see. Look down here in front of VWAP. You've got some support. Looks like $27.65. It's got a high here, basically at 85, with a bit of a wick top there at 90. So that's what the chart's going to be able to tell you. Now, One of the things that people look for when they're trading is, oh, they look at key levels. This one happens to be a support level. And when you look at the individual tape, one of the things that you always want to consider when looking at the bid and the ask on this level 2 is what is important about it and how am I going to utilize it. So the first observation I'm going to make is we have a 1 cent spread. The buyers are at 27.80, the sellers are at 27.81. That's important. And I'll go back to the chart to demonstrate why that's going to be important and how you're going to use it. And then I look at the liquidity levels. There's a couple thousand shares here at 80, a couple thousand at 79. There's some decent liquidity on the bid on the BATS gateway, but there isn't as much on the offer, which is pretty obvious here. You have 100 lots, 300 lots, 600 lots. Very different sizing bid to ask as the stock is heading up toward that high. Now, when it comes to the spread, how do you utilize the spread every single day in trading? Well, let's imagine a scenario where you're looking at this, say, bull flag or trend up on C3AI, and you want to look to buy the dip. So you're looking to go long as it's pulling back in the morning. You see it bounce off 65. You're looking for a dip back into 65. You're thinking, okay, I'll go long somewhere 67 or 68. And my risk is to this bottom wick at, say, 59, right? So you set your trade up, you're risking about 8 or 9 cents depending on your entry, and you think, okay, that's good. The high of the day here, it gives me good risk to reward, but there's something about that spread that matters. So I showed you that level 2 with a 1 cent spread. In that particular case, it's reasonable to expect that if your stop runs, you might only have slippage of an execution of a couple of pennies. If that spread is 1 cent and it breaks this 59 bottom, you could get 58 or 56. Where it becomes important is if on C3AI you see, as that happened a second ago, your spread opens up to 2 pennies or 3 cents. That changes the litmus, because then underneath a key support level, if the spread at a regular time is going to open up a little bit extra, then when it gets to a key price level and breaks it, you can expect it to open up a little bit more. If you ever hear us say on the live show, oh, I'm not touching that stock, the spread is too big, or I don't like the risk reward, oftentimes it's because of the amount of liquidity. Now, there's liquidity on this bid, no question, but if it gets down to that 65, I want to know if there was normally a 3 or 4 cent spread in here, I might have to risk an extra 5 cents on that trade. So therefore, I'm going to look for a bigger opportunity to the upside. And if it doesn't present itself, then it's simply too much risk based on that spread. The other time that I care a lot about a spread, especially on small cap stocks, and I'm going to use Fisker as an example. So Fisker is a $1 stock. It's down 10% today. They're having a bad day. But one of the things that I'll always look for when trading a small cap or a penny stock is the liquidity in the spread. The entire point to trading these is to be able to have smaller, regular percentage moves on smaller notional moves. Like it only has to move 10, 20 cents for this stock to go 10%, 20%, those types of things. But if a dollar stock doing millions of shares, in this case 20, 30 million on a day, sometimes even more than that, if that's got a wide spread, that can be a bit of a dangerous signal. Because when you are looking at a stock which is trading in this fashion, barcoding and settling down and then moving away, the whole alpha is to be able to have lots of liquidity and get the fills tight to where you want them. Because if you're making 4 or 5 cents, it's important that you only lose 1 or 2. That extra point becomes a lot. It can be 10, 20% of your return when you're looking at a stock like this. So they need to have relatively tight spreads. You might not be so concerned with that if you're trading Eli Lilly. It doesn't need to have a 1 cent spread because it's a much larger stock. So obviously spread can matter, but one of the things that you'll hear us talk about all the time is size. Size on the bid, size on the ask. When does it make a difference? Look, right now, I can tell you that when you see big size in the bid or the ask, it doesn't matter as much as it used to. When I started trading, oftentimes you would see a big buyer or seller on the level 2 and you would just jump right in front of them. You didn't care. You would just take the trade and you'd be scalping in front of size pretty much all day long. Those days are gone with algos. Sometimes it matters, sometimes it doesn't. And when I refer to size on the bid, just to give you an example here, I'm going to pop up NVIDIA, which is maybe the most in-play stock today. And when you look at the level 2, it should be obvious if there's a big buyer or seller. Now, there is a decent buyer here for 1,200 shares at 52.80, but that's not really a large order. Like, something that would stand out on NVIDIA is probably going to be 10,000 shares, not 1,000 shares. If I were to pull up Tesla, very similar story. You want to see much, much bigger lots than that moving it around. And then I'll use maybe one more going into something like an Apple. Now, Apple here actually has a decent sized seller. You saw about 5,000 shares pop on the offer, but not gigantic when looking in that bid and the ask. Now, I'm going to go back to NVIDIA because how I care about size on a daily basis is with breakouts. Because one of the things that you can look for on a breakout, and you'll hear us say this all the time, what is happening at that key price level and who is indicating which way it's going to go. So when 500 breaks on NVIDIA, are there buyers above? Are there sellers above? That's what you want to know. So when this is breaking 500, you can be looking at the tape, but oftentimes I am also looking at that level too. Now, obviously, it's at 513 now, but what I'm looking for at that 500 breakout when I've just gone long, whatever price you get, 501, 520, whatever it might be. If buyers are showing up for irregular lots, not just 100 shares, but like 500 shares here, 1,000, 2,000 shares above that $500 level, what is happening to them? Are they having to bid it up, 5 cents, 10 cents, 20 cents, 30 cents, then get filled? Or is someone bidding at 10 cents, instantly filled for size? Bidding at 12 cents, instantly filled every single time? Or are they having to stack that bid up before catching that fill on the way back? In one case, buyers are being met immediately on that bid with sellers because they're eager sellers, or they're having to bid that irregular size higher, and then they're eventually getting a fill. That is a very bullish look. The other thing that you want to see have happen on a breakout trade, or not happen, I should say, on a breakout trade, is if 500 breaks, what you want is bids just to be there above 500. The last thing you want is a stock, in this case, NVIDIA, the spread, 6, 7 cents on the regular. So on a break, it could be 10 or 15 cents. But when that spread opens up, you're at 500 on the bid, let's say, and you're at 500 and say 15 cents on the offer. When it goes higher and someone takes that offer, you want that spread to stay the same. If somebody takes the offer and the spread just doubles up bigger, what that means is that there are people buying to the offer, but there's nobody bidding above the breakout price. That's important. You want people bidding above the breakout price passively. That means they're trying to get filled. If people are just simply getting hit on the offer, that can just be stops running. That's people that were short at 500 having their stops run. That's people that potentially were taking like scalp trades into here that are getting out in front of that 500. So what you would like to see is new entrants in and above the 500 level, bidding that stock up, not allowing it to get back underneath. So when I'm looking at that level 2, I don't just want to see buyers 1,000, 1,500 irregular size on that bid. I simply want to see the spread closing up. Because if the spread's not closing up, you're getting liquidations above the 500 level, but you're not actually getting new buyers. And if that's the case, and people start hitting the bid, which is still at the breakout price, you're back under in a hurry. It's a simple concept, but in the heat of the moment, you've got to know where to look and what you care about. It is easy to look at that tape, get excited by all of the green going on above that price, and then not see any buyers stepping up with it. That is a very key thing I look for on a daily basis on breakouts, especially with some of those low float, small cappers. Because whenever you see those reversal candles on those charts where you have a bit of a false breakout, now this isn't necessarily one, but it can be an example here on NVIDIA. When you get those reversals through highs, oftentimes as it breaks that top, the spread opens up a little bit, there's no buyers above, and that's where the hammer comes down quickly because the bid was not following it the entire way up, so you didn't have to hit the ask much on the way back down. Now, the other place where it matters a lot, of course, is going to be support and resistance. Now, one of the things that you'll often hear traders say is, oh, there's a refresher, there's an iceberg order, there's a seller, there's a buyer. Most of those mean about the same thing. Now, I'm going to use an example here on Apple because Apple, I was looking for, like, say, a 180 long. Anyone watching the show today knows I like that for a dip buy. But as it started to go down, I was looking for support. Now, it ends up turning at about 180, 150. Was there a big size order there? Nope. Was there a support and resistance that was obvious? Nope. I mean, there was a pre-market level there. But what was semi-obvious if you were watching the tape on Apple at that price was there was what I like to call a refreshed bid. So in that case, and this was at 181.5, let's imagine it was at 184.30, where it is right now. So you're seeing it just hang out, bid to ask. Now imagine every time it got down to that 30 level, you see red, red, red on the tape, 4 large size, you see the level getting cleared out, and then it pops right back up. It prints through that price, goes immediately back to it. It prints through that price down again and immediately back to it. The key is it's doing so on good volume. Like you're seeing non-100 prints, non-only dark pool prints going through. You're watching the actual tape indicate big shares going through at that price, but every time the level gets taken out, say at 30, it comes right back in. That's what was happening in the morning. It was breaking 181.50. As I mentioned, it was breaking 181.50, but the second it would get under 47, 46, boom, bid goes right back to 50, 51, and you'd see 1,000 lots here, 1,000 lots there, and then suddenly it's trying to head higher. That's indicative of a refreshing buyer. Now, sometimes you have to read the tape to be able to see that. The situation where you don't have to read the tape to see that is an iceberg order. Because when you get an iceberg order, that becomes very obvious. An iceberg order means that the displayed shares at your level 2 is just the tip of the iceberg. In that particular case, you'd have a bid at one of these prices showing 100 shares, and it would just hit that bid, hit that bid, hit that bid for thousands and thousands of shares and never go anywhere. So if it's displaying 100 and filling for thousands, that means there's a reserve order behind it. A little bit easier to see that iceberg order than it is to see the refreshed buyer, where somebody's getting filled, it's going under the price. And then you're watching someone come back and bid in again. Now you're presuming it might be the same order, or it might be the same types of orders and buyers going in, but ultimately it doesn't really matter. Whether it's a refresher or an iceberg, when I'm looking for support and resistance level, if it's a key price, my confluence, as we always like to say, would be that extra indicator on the tape and the level 2. I want there to be a refresh buyer. I want there to be an iceberg buyer or seller. I want there to be a gigantic size buyer at the key price that I'm in love with. So those are the types of things I'm looking for in the tape at support and resistance. Now, the one entry or exit that you want to consider when you're using that kind of a level, whether it's size on the bid ask, whether it's a refreshed order, or if it's going to be an iceberg order, is what happens as it breaks out. Now this is going to be tricky because look at Apple here, high is 184.60. If you are looking at a clean, massive size order, oftentimes it'll break that level and just go straight to the upside. You saw that with NVIDIA at 500. But when you are dealing with a refresh level or an iceberg buyer, it is very important to see continuation when there was a huge order at that level. That's what I was getting at with that spread not opening up. Seeing buyers above that price when you're looking at a breakout. Because if there was a big seller before and they're selling, get everything they want, and then it pops higher, what do you think happens if everyone just went long but that seller was actually not in fact done? They're just going to sell at that same price the first chance they get. So the bigger the order and the bigger the seller, the more I want that to work right away. Because if it doesn't, the chances that that seller was not done are even bigger. And one of the ways I look for that when we talk about those key support and resistance levels is that spread. Are those bids getting filled? And just to give you one last note for when I say are those bids getting filled, also consider this. When you're looking for an upward stock, what happens when someone posts at the ask? Like if somebody shows up on the ask on a stock that's going up, are they instantly filled? Are they instantly filled on the bid? Are they instantly filled on the ask? If you are noticing that, it is one of the easiest signs that you have a stock which is strong or weak. If people are insta-filled on the offer and it's easy to get a fill, then you know the stock is going to be strong. That is what you want to see in a breakout. You do not want to be instant filled on the way back down on a key level break price. That is very, very important. And the bigger the size, the bigger the iceberg, the more important that gets. So it's not just about what is the level 2, what is that tape. It's about how do you utilize it. Support and resistance, breakouts, those are usually the times I'm caring about it most. And do not discount the spread. Sometimes the spread is going to cause you to not trade stocks because the risk to reward is absolutely no good. There's always plenty of examples of this. If you have any questions, feel free to you can DM me anytime you want. I'm always going to be in the chat here, and we talk about this all day long. But even just today on NVIDIA, it was super clear on that $500 break instantly that there were buyers above. There was simply nobody selling any size in the first 30, 40 cents. That is a big key point, and that's one of the reasons you're taking your first scalps out at the dollar level. And the reason for that is because you saw size bids and nobody was sitting on those offers unless they were getting insta-filled. So we use a tape on a daily basis, we use a level 2 on a daily basis, but it's those breakouts and support and resistance and how we use them that are going to be the most important. I'm going to send you guys all the way back 20 feet to my left to Adara and Obi. Go get them. Oh.
Hi. Yeah, we are back over here. Thank you so much, Neil, for that. I think, yeah, really interesting something. Definitely, I want to go watch back and see what I can glean from that as well, because I think that's really important. There's so many aspects to tape reading, understanding size, understanding, the crazy trading ecosystem that I would like to learn more about. Also, Paulie D saying, Neil is the man with a plan. Yeah, there we go. I mean, literally a plan there. We're back here. We're going to be taking some more trades. Obi's in a long. I'm in a short. I'll talk briefly about this because I have been using, although hopefully not to the extent that it derails me like that unfortunate AMD trade we talked about, where I got a little derailed by looking at the book. But yeah, so I mean, I like this here. We're kind of holding steadily below this 354.60, which is where I got in. I got in because I talk a lot about how, for whatever reason, I find Meta a really fun name to kind of range trade, because it tends to, once it gets into something resembling a range, it kind of tends to respect that. I like this pseudo double top at 354.60. My plan for my out is going to be 354.10. Now, why 354.10? So I like to look at what was one kind of low, one kind of area we bounced off from was the 354.20. Then we had some bouncing off that 354. So I'm going to split the baby, and I'm going to do 354. I did not like that analogy when it came out of my mouth. And I'm going to get out at 354.10. 50 cents in the money, and then also I think because I'm a little bit worried we could do, just because we got a slightly higher high here, I'm worried we could do a higher low. So I want to just kind of deal with it that way, deal with some of the potential stress from it that way. Also, Crocs looking like a fascinating short. I don't want to get involved in this, while it's kind of falling here. But Crocs definitely in sports mode to the downside. I recently learned what sports mode is, so I'm very proud to brag. But yeah, I mean, I think I would probably take it at least to this 100 area, because that's where we had that a little bit of consolidation. If I can find a national point of entry, I will. We fell cleanly off that double top, so it's going to be a good look here. I'm going to look at the tape, look at the book, look at my chart, see what's shaking there. How is your Amazon long going?
It's fine. Like I said, I was just got the stop in, got the risk in. So I think we're about to get clocked out right there. So got clocked out right there in the lower 30s. Again, like I said, not really an intended trade coming into the morning, but I was just doing it kind of showing you guys the VWAP consolidation, right? So we do get ticked out, stopped out when the market kind of pulls back, and we do kind of hold on to this trend that we've been having. The 148 short idea was definitely there from the morning there. But yeah, no, thank you, Neil, kind of giving us a nice in-depth professional look at how traders look at tape and what you can be looking for in those situations. So yeah, we really appreciate that, and thank you, Neil. In terms of trades, I was talking to Dara about what potential trades I have kind of coming up. According to my trading plan, which I've been trying to adhere to a lot better there without getting lost in the sauce. I do have to kind of wait for BA to potentially come into some prices to see if we're on for the reversion move, right? This is Boeing. Yeah, sure, they have a little bit of a catalyst today, gap down quite significantly, but it seems like we're holding some of these pre-market levels very well, and 234 pre-market high as well. So that's kind of the range that I have marked out here on Boeing. You can see this right here. So if we hold the bottom, we hold some of the highs as well. So I'm going to be a little bit more patient to take some of this consolidative action above VWAP, maybe through the highs. If that does come in, 230 hold, I'll be looking for that. But we've only been making higher lows, so that's definitely interesting to me, that 230 hold as well. So Amazon not really doing too much. I did like the short idea off the 148. We got long off of VWAP again, just to kind of demonstrate a concept there. The market does look like it's kind of catching a little bit of a break underneath that 16.7. Let's see what we do from in and around here. There goes Boeing ripping right back up to the upside there, 231 holding as of right now. But yeah, no, let us know in the chat where you guys are trading. Maybe we can take a look at some of the tape on those names and see if there's anything interesting going on. Or even like I'd love to hear some tape stories. What are some crazy stories of your guys' observations on the tape that you've had in the past? I'd love to kind of read some of those out and see what experiences different people in the chat may have had with reading the tape, because that's the topic today. But
yeah, name of the game. Yeah, I mean, lots of mentions of crypto-related names, but I'm seeing Mr. Longshorts has mentioned NKTX here, so I'll pull up NKTX. This was a little baby small cap. I talked about this one briefly today. Ncarta. It's like NVIDIA, where there's just like an N in front, so I'm gonna call it Ncarta. Ooh, okay, sorry, I got excited here. This rounded bottom is interesting. I mean, I'm gonna look at the tape in a second, but yeah, purely chart-based, I think the rounded bottom is a very fascinating look. Here we do, I would say, I'd be interested in seeing it reclaim that that 987 area. I think that would be very interesting. Make a higher high from there. But definitely, I mean, like not a bad look, I have to say, for Ncarta here. We did have a catalyst in Ncarta. I believe it was one of the many pharmacy-related names today adjusting its, business presentation, yeah. So updating cash and equivalents as of September 30th, 2023. We're at a cool almost 300 million, 278.4 mil. So yeah, not a bad catalyst for Ncarta, up about 50% right now. In terms of the tape, we're kind of, I just noticed, just on the book here, because like I said, I feel like I'm a little bit more adept at book reading. We're kind of fighting here at this 905, 906 area, kind of slow and steady wins the race type movement. We just got a big flush there though too. On the tape, so I'm gonna have to wait and see. It looks like, I think if we can hold above 9, I think that'd be interesting, because even when we had that flush down there, we still held 9 pretty well. I mean, obviously I am a bit more of, still learning my tape reading, but I appreciate, Mr. Longshorts here mentioning Ncarta, because I think it's a nice kind of example of a tape and a book trying to hold this level of 9, because we just went below 9, I just said wine. We got right back up to 9. So I think Ncarta at 9 is going to be interesting, just from a perspective of it seems to be holding this level pretty well in the tape and the book. And see, we held 9, now we got back up to that 907, 908 area. So yeah, I mean, you're right, it's interesting. I feel like when you talk about book and tape for too long, you do feel like a sports announcer. You know what I mean? You're like, oh, it's moving here, it's moving there.
Play-by-play.
Right? But yeah, I mean, I think my take on tape.
Nice.
I like that. Thank you. For Ncarta is that 9 held really well, because we went below. Now we're at 915. When I put on this chart, we were not at 915. So I do think it was kind of what AMD did that I unfortunately did not take advantage of, where it goes below a level and then swoops back up with a vengeance. Sorry. Yeah. So I think that's a pretty good look there on Ncarta. So I appreciate Mr. Longshorts for bringing this one up. There were also Tesla, some mentions of Tesla. So I'll pull up. I have not actually looked much at Tesla today, which is shocking for me. But yeah, Tesla's an interesting one. I think purely chart-wise, like I said, I think that break above that 238.60. I was in Encarta mode there. 238.60 was pretty strong. I think we bounced off this 238 level pretty solidly. In terms of the tape, it was interesting. We were having this conversation, I think, last time you were on, where you asked me, like, how do you look at the Tesla book? Because the Tesla book and tape kind of move like wild. And I said, usually my thing with Tesla is it will move. It will move like it's like, at a dance club. But then once it kind of has a level, I find it tends to respect that level pretty well. Right now, Tesla kind of darting around 239.30. I'm not seeing any huge significance here. This 239.30, just how Tesla is doing these wicks here with just me looking at the book. I think that the fact that we bounced a couple times here off this 239.60 is kind of significant. Also $1 above our earlier area of resistance, 238.60. So I would say that could be kind of significant. We're falling now into the 239.20s and below. So I would say, yeah, I think with Tesla, I find tape and book reading to be less kind of about what are we doing, and more kind of, is it a level? Because with Tesla, like I said, I think it's kind of you can sometimes kind of see when you have a level, right? So right now I'm not super seeing a level on Tesla. We did get back to that 239.30 pretty quickly, but I don't want to assume I'm seeing something I'm not. So I would say not tons happening here on the Tesla tape. Yeah.
Yeah, I think some people were talking about Mara, and I was like, oh wow, Mara. I didn't have eyes on this. I was talking to Pat earlier today. He said he traded it a little bit there, but yeah, full-on recovery, 100% reversion. Well, not 100%, but coming back into the 25. The 25 was interesting last week. Shout out to Yanni. He had a sick trade off of the 25, kind of a breakdown there, and you can see that sell pressure is still there coming into today. That 25 sell-off on Mara, a little bit of a continuation happening off of the open there. Seems like that pressure may still be around, and we're coming right back into it on a full-on recovery from down in the 22 halves. So let's see if this 25 potentially can show its hand again. It seems as if Friday and this morning, a little bit of a pressure from the upside with the limited information that's been printed on the chart. I have no idea what we're going to do when we come into the 25 this time around, but it's a great place to look at the tape, in my opinion. So let's take a quick look. It's very distinct that sellers were there on Friday and this morning, and with Mara kind of coming right back into that 25, I'm curious to know what that tape is looking like right now. So let's pull it up real quick. Trades on the DAC. Okay, so Mara, bang. Okay. So if it can populate my chart, there we go. You guys are seeing it right there. So we're right above pushing into 25. And look, there's some size right away. We see 100 lots at 25.02. So there's some size there from before, some sellers potentially. We're looking to see if those aggressive sellers from Friday and this morning are still potentially present. So I'm going to throw on a little bit of a highlighting filter there. I want to know anybody who's greater than 100 lots. And let's highlight that with maybe a little bit of a red, pinkish background with, let's say, white text. Yeah, okay, cool. And we will do that right there. Boom. So you can see right away, this is going to help me take a quick look at whenever size may show up in and around some of these levels. So that 25, again, you can see that it's pretty well evened out there. The bid and the ask, relatively similar sizes, kind of exchanging. But yeah, I think again, we talk about different places to potentially look at the tape, and I think the fact that we've seen aggressive selling 2 days in a row. One of those days being the open on Mara today, and the fact that we've come all the way right back up into this 25 definitely is telling me that 25 might be an interesting place to transact, and I'm curious to know what tape may or may not do in and around these 25. So I'll stay watching this. If anything interesting shows up, it'll be right here, and I'll call it out if I manage to catch it. But you can see right there. So there was 150 lots at that 25 when we did come in, and then that size didn't necessarily print, and then we came right back down. I don't think it printed here. If I did have my size filter, I would have caught that right there. But you know what? I will put on a little bit of a size filter on this tape over here. so we can catch potential size going through. So, okay.
Yeah, you can just see it like when it pops up.
Yeah, so that 25, you can see it like okay, so look at that stack of size right there, multiple different gates, EDGX, MEMEX, NASDAQ, MIAX. So there's a stack at 25. 25, obviously a little bit of a psychological level as well. And again, the proof is in the pudding. We've seen it on the chart. Like we talk about how the chart is historical data, right? So with the limited information that's been printed on the chart from last Friday, we can see that sellers kind of came in off the open. Again, Bitcoin taking a little bit of a pullback as well. Mara doing a little bit of an exhaustive move all the way up from the 30s, right? Mara ran all the way to 32. We're kind of pulling back in, making lower lows, lower highs. A little bit of a pullback from the crazy run up that we've had over the past few weeks. And what we're seeing is sellers kind of coming in the 25, and once again in the 25 this morning. So I'm curious to know whether or not we can break today's high, or if sellers step right back in. And I think the tape will definitely give us a little bit of direction there if we stay adamant in watching that tape push. So right there, 300 lots right there. So right,
oh my God.
You can see 300 lots. So there's a large seller there at 25.10s, and if that seller kind of gets decremented, let's see how it gets decremented. 325 lots, cannot print that guy. So Buddy's sitting up there with 325 lots, and we cannot print 10s, right? We're printing 8s, we're printing 7s in the mids, we're printing 9s above the ask. Let's see if we can get through the 10s right there. Nothing yet, nothing yet. There's some size right there, 10,000 lots on a dark pool. Sorry, 10,000 shares on a dark pool, not lots. Yeah, so that's kind of an example, right? We said we want to look for interesting participants in and around places on the chart where we have seen structure react to, prices react to, price action react to prices or structure from before, and that 25 has been one. I don't know if it's going to be one right now with this test, but we saw that size did show up at that 25. So a little bit of a tape read here. Do with that whatever you will, but there was size at 25 10s there. Is that guy still sitting there? 75 lots now, but there was much more. Boom, right there, back again. So as soon as that price comes in, a little bit of size shows up, and look, they get taken there. Did they all get taken? Did they all get taken? They did get taken right there. That 25 10s, I can see right there going through on a P gate, and we did take that size at 25 10s. So high of day is at 25.25. So size is kind of transacting just underneath previous or day high, not previous day high. We haven't really broken it yet, but size is coming in. So that's a perfect example of how we can be looking for participants on the tape at prices that we may be interested in, right? So you can see size kind of at the 20s there showing up. So we had size at the 10s, we had a little bit of size at the 25s, and pushing up into high of day at 25.25s, we can see 5 pennies below that high. There is a little bit of size sitting there. 170 lots. Again, Mara has done 57 million shares on the day, I think. It's also important to consider the relative size of that size to the volume that we've been doing on the day as well. Is it of any significance, right? If anybody's doing anything over 1% of daily traded volume and they're showing themselves on the book, I think that can be interesting at times here. And yeah, you can see the size kind of coming in as well. So we just pulled up the Mara tape. I don't know what the tape looked like at the 24, at the 23s, or even on top of this 22, this turn as well. So I don't have the full picture here, but as of right now, we're about to push through high of day there. So let's see how that 25 looks like on the tape. Look, there's some size kind of showing up, but not as much size as we saw at the 10s, at 25.10. So definitely a lot of the size at that 25.10s got taken out. Now, something I do want to mention as well, we're pushing through 16.7 on the NASDAQ. Right? So, and on the ES as well, making new highs. We have not broken trend. These are 15-minute candles on the ES. We have not really broken trend. We've only been making higher highs and higher lows, a little bit of a reversion of the sell-off that we've had last week, right? So a strong start off to the week today. It seems like that long. Sure, I talked about not really wanting it earlier, but I see how it holds in and around underneath that consolidation of VWAP, and I like the long on Amazon. Again, talking about taking planned trades, wasn't in the plan in the morning, but I did come up with a plan right now to take that VWAP long above that 147 on Amazon. That 25 coming in as 25.25 coming in as well. Let's see what we do with the NQ pushing towards those new highs. But again, that was an interesting tape read right at that 25 on Mara there.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a really, and it's so funny how like the prospect of tape reading, you often do sound like, like an announcer, right? Because it's these tiny little moves that can often make a big difference. So I think it kind of makes sense. I just think it's kind of interesting how it kind of manifests in that way. Go sports, but also go Tesla tape, because I'm in this long. I did get in after reading that tape. I actually realized I liked what was on the tape, and then I sneakily got back in here. I accidentally did DCA this. Fat finger moment over here. But yeah, so I mean, I don't dislike it that we do still have some support here. Not a bad look here at all. Initially, like I got in at this 239.20, we bounced back up. What's making me nervous is 239.40. Yeah, I did say that right. 239.40 seems to be a bit of a ceiling here. We're having a really hard time decisively breaking above it. Depending on how this looks, I might dump at least some of my shares, at least the ones I, fat fingered my way into, unfortunately. Might get rid of some of those there, and then just keep the rest here until this 239.60, sorry, 239.70 area, because that was where we had a little bit of struggles earlier, moved back to the downside. I'm gonna have to wait and see here. I'm gonna give it another candle. I would like us to have a candle to the upside now, because I'm getting a little bit nervous as to all of the excitement going on in this Tesla tape. That being said, I do still feel like 239.20 is a strong level, 239.30, that whole kind of range, but it gets a little bit nerve-wracking here. Aaron and Joanna Brewster saying, when is the Fed speaker? Raphael Bostic should be speaking right now. I checked, I can't find any of what he said as of right now, but he is set to speak at 12:30 today. So I will keep looking for that. Also, Nike, I just want to check Nike. Maybe we can look at this Nike tape, because Tiger Woods officially ending his run with Nike. And yes, Ben Zinga, I really enjoyed what I'm assuming is that pun there. But run with Nike, yeah. I mean, Nike actually not reacting to this much. We're up on the day. We do have higher highs, or I guess we're trying to find a higher high and higher lows here. This was reported by Wall Street Journal is what I'm seeing here. Let's look at On as well, because I know that is the company he's been rumored to potentially switch and put a stake into, although that has not been confirmed yet. The company has said that's not happening, but that's like definitely, I guess, been discussed. I mean, we're up 6 and something percent, 6 2/3% on the day here for On Holdings. Yeah, not a bad look. We did make slightly lower high here, but it looks like we have decent support here around this 2750 area. But enough about the chart. Let's see what the tape's doing. Yeah, tape here. We've got lots of green here coming in on the tape. The book itself kind of shuffling around here. This 238. I keep getting whatever the numbers are within the last tape I read. This is a problem. 2838, 2839. We're kind of holding pretty steady. Given the move this one had, I would actually say the tape is a bit more stable than I was kind of expecting. But yeah, not a bad look here. I think what'll be interesting is as we kind of get into this 2840 area, which we're kind of inching towards, because that was where we had that big pickup earlier. So will resistance be support? Will support be resistance? I would like to kind of see the look here. I think this could be an interesting one here for On, even though Nike, who actually has the definitive news, has not reacted very much to it. It could be a case of buy the rumor though with On, but yeah, the On tape, I should just stop saying On. But the tape is not doing too much here. I kind of want to watch it though as we get into that 240, oh my gosh, 2840, not 240. I think that would be kind of an interesting, okay, yeah, so see we rejected pretty massively off there, as you can see here on the book. Sorry, it just sounds like I'm narrating the tape, I am. But I think with regards to tape reading last night, I think this is important to see, this is another example of confluence, to borrow your phrasing here. We did have some, this was earlier a little bit of support, right? Now I'm seeing a little bit of resistance here, because that 2840 area, we got close to it and then kind of rejected off. So I think that's an example of seeing something in the chart that might be an issue and seeing that confirmed in the tape and the book. That would be kind of my take on that. But yeah.
Oh, that's a pretty thick book there. I was like, at first I saw the 1,000 lots on the bid, and I was like, whoa, there's 1,000 lots on the bid. And then you look at all the other prices. That's pretty relatively normal for that book, right?
Apparently.
So
yeah.
again, relative size also kind of important as well, because my initial reaction was, oh, 1,000 lots on the bid. You take a look at it, most of the bids have at least like a 1,000 lots. Sorry, 1,000. Is that lot size or? Yeah, I think that's lot size.
I
so
think
1,000 lots,
mine
so
might
yeah.
be shares.
Is
Like I
yours
said, I
shares?
need to customize my book more.
Okay.
But
all
yeah,
right.
no, yeah, I mean, I think it's an interesting look, and thank you for, kind of looking at that one with me here. Also getting some comments from Fed's Bostic. Thank you, Darwin, for putting these in here. I pulled these up as well on Benzinga. Yeah, so Fed Bostic saying, Atlanta Fed President Bostic saying, rise in unemployment has been far less than what would typically be the case given the reduction in inflation. Fed's in a very strong position right now, so that could be good if you are in a long, although Tesla is kind of not enjoying this news apparently. Also saying that the Fed can let restrictive policy continue to work to slow inflation. Expect the process will remain orderly. So yeah, that's what he's kind of saying there. Thank you very much to Darwin as well for dropping that in the chat for everybody. But yeah, I mean, I think it is really interesting too, like I said, with just looking at the tape for On Holdings again, I think it is really cool how I said, we might have this issue at 2840, and we really did have this issue at 2840. We ran up to it with the viciousness and then pulled right back, and now we're pulling back even further. So I think it is really cool, and I think that's why I really enjoy kind of book reading when I'm trying to get more into tape reading, is because it really does have this nice symbiosis with what the chart's doing sometimes, and I think that's very important. Yeah.
Nice.
What are you kind of looking at right now? Oh, you got into Mara. You go into the Mara.
Yeah. So again, we talk about like not really planning the trade, but then again, I did plan. do a little bit of planning here. We saw size go in above that 25. We saw size show up at that high a day. We saw size show up at 25.10s, and then it can't really get back above there. We've seen sellers there over and over again, and I'm like, all right, well, there were sellers there now, even though we're kind of uptrending, kind of strong back into that 25. So I was like, all right, you know what? I do want to take a quick shot at that potential idea. Let's see how heavy that 25 can get. Again, 24 a little interesting as well. Again, you look back at last week, 24 kind of a bit of a support. Mara, yes, or no, that's Mattel. Mara. Yeah, so, okay, so right here, so 24, you can see this consolidation. It was VWAP as well today. A little bit of potential for buyers to maybe show up in and around here. I don't know if we're going to get all the way back down into VWAP, but as of right now, we could not get through what is high of day and also pre-market consolidation high. Also Friday, not really high a day, but consolidation high for sure, in and around that 25 area there. So just again, trying my best to kind of go off the information that I'm being provided with the market. Now, I don't know if it's the right thing to do, but again, I think I do want to get involved for that idea and see whether or not it kind of works there. Amazon holding out well. So the idea was to take it into 148s. We're holding above this previous consolidation here. We were kind of downtrending after we made those highs, but the NQ and the ES start making brand new highs, and we hold on top of VWAP on Amazon. Some peculiar, interesting action there as well. So let's see if we can bid back to 148s. We're hanging out around in the 70s here, but we are making relatively lower lows as well. So I want to stay kind of wary of both those things. But with the market kind of being this strong, I want to take a quick check on the pulse of some of these tickers here. So let's do a quick rundown of the Mag 7 here. We'll just do Apple. Right here, Apple very strong on the day, holding above VWAP and a strong trend to the upside. We'll text Softy. Softy was in that range. We broke above that range. Wow, I totally missed this one. Broke above that range. Not only do we break above that range, on the pullback, we hold those range highs before bidding even higher. So that's definitely interesting. Above VWAP, above opening range high. So very, very strong push there on Softy. Let's take a look at our friend Google. Google as well, that 137, I like that as a potential area as it was high of day on Friday as well, kind of coming in and bringing the week into a nice close on the red into 135s. So I was looking at that 137 today, but as a short, and that doesn't really come in. We've broken above that, held above that, also on top of VWAP, and very strong trend as well. So looking very similar there to some of those other names on on the Mag 7 there. Let's take a quick look at Meta as well. Meta a little bit more sideways, but holding its own also. Let's take a quick look at Tesla. I know I'm forgetting one. Of course, Amazon. We're already watching Amazon right now, but Mara's coming right back up into those levels. So like I said, I don't know whether I'm going to be right on the trade or not, but with a little bit of information that I did see, I did want to get short, and if that's going to be wrong, that's going to be wrong. I've accepted the risk that I'm willing to take on that. But Tesla kind of coming in strong as well. A little bit of an uptrend happening there on Tesla. Is there one I'm missing?
NVIDIA?
Of course. Come on. NVIDIA.
I mean, to be fair, I'm in a trade on NVIDIA right now, so
Okay,
I'm slightly
go for
biased remembering it. But yeah, no, I mean, yeah.
Strong
NVIDIA's
on the
been a
day.
weird one.
It broke that 500 today. It broke all-time highs as well in and around or all-time intraday highs there during the open market. 505 and change. I think that was the price there. We're holding and consolidating above VWAP, above those previous prices as well. So let's take a quick look at the weekly here. And you guys can see, look at that right there. So those highs, 505 and some change, and we've broken above. NVIDIA making new highs, second week of the year. So that's definitely a decent or interesting look to start us off on the year here.
Yeah, I mean, it's so funny. You're talking about how strong NVIDIA is. I agree, it's very strong. I shorted this. I'm regretting it. I'm getting out. I think if we have this decisive, like, 513.70, that's kind of my area of an out. Why I got it in this short, because I know I need to explain myself because of Darrett, what are you doing? I liked the lower lows. I like the lower highs. I like this flat-esque top around this 514 area, certainly a flattish kind of look. I do not like my point of entry. I probably got into this a little bit too early. I should have waited for the back end, as I know Obi puts it sometimes, like waiting for the movement to kind of finish there before getting in. I might have preempted this move a skosh. Yeah, John Harper saying in the chat, that's a bad short. I don't disagree. I was probably over-relying on the tape reading. I did see we did have that flush below that 513, and I probably got a little too excited about that. That being said, I mean, I'm not going to stay into it, and I'm not going to leave it until it tells me it's wrong. You know what I mean? I always, like I said, I've been kind of de-risking lately by taking as like teeny tiny little baby positions to kind of build my comfort. My main goal is trying to get more consistent in my trading. This might be a setback. I'm not going to sit here and lie, but I also, I got into the trade for a reason, and I think I want to try to honor that for now. I do have a plan of exit. If we make a higher high, I say buy. But I also do not disagree with what is, being said here in the chat as well. I can't disagree with the logic potential of, potentially the logic of this. But yeah, I mean, we can kind of go back over the lesson a little bit too, May, as well, while I watch this NVIDIA short die on me. Yeah, so I mean, kind of talking about, I guess, the idea of the level 2, right? Which is kind of what we were talking about all day. Essentially, the order book for NASDAQ stocks, orders can be placed through different market makers and other market participants. And level 2 will show you a ranked list of the best bid and ask prices for each of these participants. So, and I really appreciate you going through the level 2 in great detail earlier today as well, right? As someone who I know you do follow the tape thoroughly. And so it kind of shows you ranked list of the best bid and ask prices for each participant, which gives you detailed insight into the price action. So knowing exactly who has an interest in a stock can be extremely useful, especially for day traders, because we need to know kind of at the moment what's happening, what's going on here with this stock at this time, right? And so there's kind of different players in the marketplace to kind of talk about, because I know some people in the chat were mentioning market makers or algos. I mean, yeah, we can kind of get into that a little bit here. So, just looking at this Investopedia article here, 3 types of players in the marketplace, which are going to be market makers. So those are who provide liquidity into the marketplace, required to buy when nobody else is buying and sell when nobody else is selling. So they make the market. This is a concept that I'm still trying to learn a lot about, because you hear about the market makers, and I think learning how they interact with the market is, or I guess trying to figure out how they interact with the market is very fascinating. For me, there's also electronic communication networks, which is basically computerized order placement systems. So anyone can trade through ECNs, even large institutional traders. And there's also wholesalers. So many online brokers sell their order flow to wholesalers, and these these order flow firms then execute orders on behalf of online brokers, usually retail traders, and each market participant is required to, is recognized by the 4-letter ID that appears on level 2 quote. So I think, yeah, it's interesting. I think it kind of gives you another sense of another peeling back of the layer, behind the curtain as it were, into what actually is occurring in the markets and what happens with orders. Also, NVIDIA pulling back a little bit now, so I'm all smiles, hopefully. I like that we wicked off of the most recent high. So I'm not pleased as punch, that's a long way off, but I'm not actively quaking in my boots, so I'm gonna take that for what it is too. Yeah, I mean, I guess I find too, like, do you find that you, as you kind of, oh no, NVIDIA went back up. Do you find the more that you trade with like level 2 and tape reading and book reading, do you find the more you kind of get like a sense of it, and then for different stocks you have kind of different interactions with the tape, or? Because I know with Amazon you're very accustomed to that tape.
Yeah, so that's another thing. It's like again, everybody, it's kind of like a running joke that like Obi always trades Amazon. There's purpose behind it, right? I'm not gonna stay trading Amazon for the rest of my life. Well, maybe, I don't know. If it still trades, maybe, I don't know. But the thing is, yeah, repetition on an equity, on the same equity, right? Kind of to get a feel, to even give yourself a chance of learning different nuances and different things on the tape. That's kind of my goal. Now I don't know whether or not I'm kind of doing it the right way or not, but I am trying to put in reps the best way I do see or feel fit. But yeah, getting familiar with that Amazon tape has definitely helped out quite a bit. Again, a lot of transferable skills as well. You learn just some of the basics. Again, it's a Mag 7 ticker, so it does move a little bit faster than some other tickers, but not as fast as something like Tesla or NVIDIA, not as erratic. But there are times where it does start to move erratic, right? And I think shout out to Wayne here. He said this in one of the meetings, and it really stuck with me. It's like, are you a local? Are you a local on that playing field, right? Because when you're a local, you can understand and realize when something out of the ordinary may be happening. If Amazon does something unusual with respect to something it hasn't done in this past week or over the past couple of weeks. Like if you watch it every day, if you don't watch it every day, you're not going to know those things. Now I don't know whether those nuances and those little bits of information are actually crucial to being consistently profitable over a long extended period of time. I have yet to figure that out. But as of right now, again, I think that I don't have any real kind of tape reading time under my belt to make that assessment, right? Like I said, just a developing trader, still lots and lots to learn here, and I'm trying to find my way. Trading is a journey, and yeah. It's always good to kind of have mentors and more advanced experienced traders around you to give you that guidance and really slow down that or kind of speed up your travel on that learning curve, right? So that is the case there. So Amazon doesn't necessarily kind of comes into that 148 and pulls right back in there. So you know what? I'm just gonna get out of this one right here real quick. Okay, so boom. So it could still go through that 148. I have no idea. There goes Mara. Mara is stopping me out through that previous day high. So like I said, I accepted the risk on that trade. Now we're pushing past that 25 high of day, and you can see the pace of the speed. It was kind of trekking along, chopping and churning on top of the 25. As soon as we make that new high a day, you can see the speed in the tape, that buying pressure kind of coming in. You can see right there, sellers kind of on the ask, that size gets taken out, and we hold on the bid. We continue to push up through these 30s. Let's see where we go from there. But yeah, that's definitely interesting. Quick little pop through high a day, and you guys see that relative change in the aggression and the speed through that level on the tape there. So trade doesn't really work out. Pressure is very strong. Again, I did kind of trade against the trend with a little bit of information that I was seeing on the tape there. So in an attempt to kind of trade off the tape, but it's very clear, right? You're not always going to be able to be like, okay, because I saw this, it's going to do that, right? It's always it's you got to think in like probabilities. It's like, okay, well, you know, if I see this, what's the probability of this happening? Am I willing to take on that kind of risk? Now, I don't know whether or not I'm assessing those probabilities in the right way or not. Like I said, that's part of the journey there. But you can see that when we do break through those levels where sellers had been kind of showing themselves, we are accelerating to the upside here. 25 halves incoming on Mara there, and yeah, that 148 on Amazon catching a little bit of a pullback here. We didn't really get too far past that 16.7 either there on that NQ as of right now. But wow, I am glad I am out of the short on Mara as that buying pressure comes in real hot into the halves, 25 halves raging right there. I do want to pull up Mara and kind of go over again those levels that we were looking at.
Yeah, it's
earlier,
a wild
right?
one, Mara.
So again, kind of want to point out this selling pressure, a little bit easier to see on a lower time frame. Look at that, comes into 25, comes into pre-market levels, hard, strong selling off of that level. Friday as well, strong selling off of that 25. We do break above those prices, and then we get that nice little acceleration, aggression from the buyers through previous resistance levels that we've been seeing over the past, I guess, 24 hours of open market trading. Yeah. Strong pressure there. Again, great examples. You can look for examples all over the place here. Again, tape, very, in my opinion, very strong tool of confluence to kind of add to your trading. And yeah, with that, do we want to do like a recap of the lesson plan here now?
Yeah, let's do it. I mean, yeah, just I'm gonna pull up my notes here again so I have everything shaking. Also, I should provide an update for my NVIDIA short. I'm no longer short NVIDIA. NVIDIA is rejecting off that 514. I'm not touching this until it gives me a stronger sense of direction. I think it really goes back to what you just said about using the tape in confluence. That's not really what I did. I kind of saw something on the tape. I sort of saw something on the chart and I got involved way too early, right? So I think this is a huge lesson for me. Everyone in the chat was right to question this short, and I think, you know, I will say though, I'm happy I stuck with my instincts and just got out where I said I was going to get out, which was that decisive break of that this newer high. You know, I can't.
Did you follow the plan?
I did follow the plan. I just think the plan was flawed.
Exactly. So that type of like reevaluation and everything, that's for like afterwards, right?
Okay.
But as long as you follow the plan, the plan doesn't have to work, but then you can reassess later on, being like, what tweaks may I need to make to the plan? But as long as you follow the plan, you were successful in taking that trade.
I like that. Thank
Even
you.
though you
took
a loss.
Something about that too, and I appreciated that. Yeah.
I think you want to give yourself at least that much, right? So it's like, can you follow the plan? And that's something that I'm working on as well. So when I recognize that you follow the plan, it doesn't matter if you lost or won, but you followed the plan, so you did your job.
Thank you.
Right. So it's like that's something that I struggle with sometimes, getting lost in the sauce and deviating from the plan that I have, or not even making a plan. Like I've taken some trades which were not planned this morning, but I do a quick little jot down, take a couple of levels down. I'm like, this is the plan for the quick scalp I want to take right now, whether that's a Mara short or if that's a long on off of VWAP on Amazon. I'm like, all right, this is the risk I'm willing to incur, or the maximum loss I'm willing to lose on this kind of idea there. And I want to put on that risk, and I want to follow this plan. And as long as I follow the plan, I think I'm perfectly fine. But whether that plan works, if it's a good plan or not, that's up to the market to decide. That's up to me to be like reassess afterwards and be like, okay, I could have done this better. I saw this, I saw that, and it can be structured. The planning aspect of the trading can be restructured when you're not in the trade itself, right? So I think that's pretty solid there. Strong push on Mara. We are pushing back through or testing those 25 halves. So interesting kind of a breakout trade. We saw what the tape looked like in and around a breakout of high of day. We saw the acceleration, kind of the buying stepping in, and then you get a nice 25 penny wipe. And a little bit of a continuation as well. We've only been bidding up since we've broken off of that previous day high at 25.25 on Mara there. Yeah. But yeah, so let's kind of circle back there and go back to the beginning of the tape reading. lesson for today. Now, again, I want to re-emphasize here. I'm just a developing trader. I know nothing. The market can do whatever it wants. I have no idea what the market is going to do. But again, there's some tape reading basics, some kind of layout basics, and just understanding what we're looking at that we're going to be talking about today here with our limited experience. So that's what I want to reiterate here. So again. Why do we look at the tape here? It's good for, I think it's good for entries and exits. It gives you a little bit of a perspective on market depth. It shows you again that arena where players, participants may be sitting at, what their intentions might be. Again, that's only for those who are showing themselves in the market. Now somebody can be sitting on the sidelines, not really showing up on the book, and then if and when price gets to that level, or price action gets to a certain price, then they'll pull up onto the book, and then you'll see them there on the level 2, but nobody hides from the tape. Every single order that goes through either on a dark pool, on the D gate, or on a lit gate through on this tape here. So nothing really gets by that. So that's always a good thing on that case there. But yeah, kind of giving you that real-time information. Anything and everything. Wow, Mara's super strong. But anything and everything that's kind of. Oh, is that why Bitcoin's on the move? Okay, yeah. Well, clearly, I'm trading Mara off of a level without watching Bitcoin. Yeah, GG's. Good job on that one, Obi. But all right. So back to kind of what we're talking about here on the level 2. So. What was I getting at? Okay, so we'll just start off with a basic layout. We have sellers on the right, buyers on the left here. This is a level 2 book. This is kind of like a receipt, the tape that's running through all the live orders that have gone through, that have transacted, that have a buyer and a seller on both sides, and kind of going through the market. Is displayed on this kind of tape that's running down here. These two prices here. This is the level 1. This is what the market is currently trading at. This is the price that Amazon is trading at right now. 147.67 on the bid, 147.68 on the ask, and that'll dynamically change as buyers and sellers kind of push the price around as well. So on the left-hand side of this column here, it kind of denotes the size. So this is number of lots. You can see here that's 12 lots. Each lot is 100 shares. So that's 5 lots. And then on here, that's the price, and then different gates as well. So these are all the different gates that participant or that size, that order is sitting on to kind of waiting for the fill here. And the same thing on the right-hand side, but with sellers is displayed. And we talked about kind of the gradient here, different colors. Now it's all up to you. You can color by price. You can color by whatever. I have it colored by different prices here. Each penny is a slightly different color of the gradient on the level 2, and then you have the different colors in the tape as well, right? So these letters here, Adara pointed out earlier. These letters right here, that's kind of the gate that the transaction has gone through on. This is the size and the number of shares that are going through at said price shown on the left here, and then obviously different colors as well. So I have my colors kind of set up in a way that differentiates orders going through on the bid price versus the ask price, and in the middle as well, above and below as well. So I'm just going to quickly go through that. All the yellow is kind of the mid prints, everything that's going through on a mid print between the bid and the bid and the ask price. You'll see that a lot of the yellow prints are decimals of pennies, right? It's prices going through in the middle of, especially if the spread is 1 penny, then yeah, you have kind of half prints and other prices in between the penny that kind of go through those mid prints. You have greens for any orders that are getting taken off of a seller, and then you have red prints that are of any orders that are going through the bid, and then dark red for going through past the bid, below the bid orders, and then bright green for above the ask. So a little bit of a differentiation to help me look at the pressure that the price action might be showing, the flow might be showing in that given moment. So that's kind of the basic layout of the level 2 and the tape on Amazon right now. So that's what I got going on there.
Yeah, no, I thank you so much for going over that. I also, you know, I'm more to add, but I want to quickly get to the super chat from Michelle Hebert. Thank you so much. I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong. Member for 18 months, thank you very much for your support. Saying GME with a bounce in that 1550, 1570 area of support. Run up into next earnings Q4 in March with a strong interest and good recent Q3 2023 question mark. Yeah, I have the daily up. I'll look at the weekly as well. I think what's kind of interesting here is we do seem to be running into this 1850 area a little bit, like not a perfect double top, but certainly some issues here. Then this 1830, yeah, I mean 1830, 1850 again coming kind of into play in this September 2023. So, and then again actually earlier in June 2023. So I don't know if that's for sure a huge area, but I think it could be an interesting area of resistance. We've only briefly journeyed above that 1830, 1850 area. That was for a moment in early September 2023. So I think the fact that we see some resistance there could be interesting. I want to look at the weekly on this as well, just for some context. Also though, in terms of bottoms of support, just seeing this on the daily, this we seem to be quite good at bouncing off this 16 area. 1, 2, sort of fell below it here, but I think it's not a bad area. I think on what I'm seeing here on GME. Oh, here's the week. Okay, yeah, the weekly is a little bit. What is happening here? Yeah, the weekly is a bit of a different look. I'm just going to zoom in here. Yeah, I think again, like we're kind of this 18 kind of area continues to have a little bit of run up. I think decisively breaking above that 18 would be a really interesting look for sure for GME. So I apologize, the tape reading discussion there interrupted, just so I can quickly address this this GME chart. Yeah, no, I think if it breaks above 18, Michelle, to answer your question, I think that would be probably a good look here. Tape reading, yeah, so as we were kind of saying, I'll get back into the history a little bit because I find it pretty interesting. So it's an old technique to analyze the price and volume of a stock. So, because prices used to literally be transmitted on ticker tape. So you'd have the symbol, the price, and the volume, and the system has actually been phased out. You know, we have computers and everything now, but some modern traders will still use similar strategies and some of the old lessons and cultures and terms from that era. So one of the you know, I think important, before you understand what it is now, we have to understand its history, right? So it was invented in 1867 for gold and stock telegraph company. And Thomas Edison then further developed it, the first practical. So he didn't invent it. Common misconception, did not invent it, but he did develop the first practical ticker in 1871. So this kind of helped make the market more efficient. You know, we're always about efficient markets in the world of trading. And devices were soon used across major brokerages as the primary means of price volume dissemination. And there have been several books written about and published about tape reading. So there's tape reading in market tactics. There's also Reminiscence of a Stock Operator, which is definitely one I would like to sit down and read. And then, so a lot of the terms that we actually have from this ticker tape area do remain, including ticker symbol, the idea of the stock ticker, and the concept of not fighting the tape. So I think that's really really huge as well. And I think it's interesting, kind of understanding the history and where we've gone can help us understand kind of how we got here. You know what I mean? I think I definitely would like to do some more reading on, you know, those books to kind of get a better sense of the rich history of book and tape reading. It's different understanding something from, I guess, more technical standpoint, and then also more of its context and history. So I think that's pretty interesting as well. I find that kind of cool. Yeah. Yeah,
for sure. I was trying to pull up those pictures that we were showing there earlier of the ticker tape. There's a picture on what is it, on Wikipedia of this one right here. Let me just pull that up. Apparently, ticker tape. Just a side note here. In Manhattan, there was a time where it was used as confetti here. So I'm just reading that here. So celebrated some significant events such as the end of World War I, World War II, and then the safe return of one of the early astronauts as well. So you can see that a little bit of a different use as well of the ticker tape in New York in the past there. But yeah, no, definitely interesting. This is kind of a picture of that gold ticker machine from the early 80s, right? So very interesting how far we've come, and now obviously we had boards, and now that has essentially turned into something like this. So a live level 2 tape. So very significant changes over the years there, and yeah, a little bit of a history as to how ticker tape kind of came to be here. And I think I got a couple of dates here as well. Yeah, Thomas Edison provided some efficiency in 1969, and then in the 20s and 30s, you went from mechanical to electric tickers that gave you more speed and reliability of price kind of information. And then in the 60s, you had electronic data processing and stuff. So that kind of developed into into the more modern electric tickers that we're kind of used to interacting with. And then in the 70s, again, computers became a thing in the 70s, so now you had computerized ticker tape, and that kind of led us towards closer to what we're seeing here today. And of course, in 21st century, like real-time market data, analytics, trading tools, a ticker tape that you can filter and do so many things with. So very advanced, and and how far we've come from the basic ticker tape that was being printed out in the early days, I guess, in the 60s and the 70s. So it's a little bit of historical background there on ticker tape.
Yeah, it's a very cool look, and I think it's yeah, it's neat too that we can kind of look back and see kind of how we got here to, from where we've been, and we've been quite the journey with ticker tape here. Now it's become such, I think, an integral part of a lot of trader strategies. And we've both talked about sometimes how you have to step back from the tape and the book, because it can sometimes lead you astray if you're a little too reliant on it, right? But I think, cough, cough, my AMD trade, which I guess I can pull up and kind of explain why the tape led me astray on that. Ooh, AMD's actually really rangy in a way I like, but I'm not gonna deal with that right now. So I got it in this AMD, and I like where I got it in this AMD long. I was looking at the tape, I saw some nice support at 144, got in at where did I get in, 145? 145. So I was basically, I got in 145, I think right above 145. I liked where I got in. Then, because I was watching the tape, right? Then I zoom out, when in doubt, zoom out. Neil always says that. I think that's something I really should have listened to here, because I noticed we kept kind of seeing a little bit of struggles at 145. So then I was like, maybe I made a mistake. I was kind of doubting myself. Then I saw us run down here with a vengeance. I got out right at 145, so about 5 cents loss there. And then we swooped right up into my area of profit taking, which was originally going to be that 145.4 area, because I like taking profit where you have like earlier areas of resistance, you know what I mean? Because I know we can probably get there. So that was, yeah, that was unfortunate. But anyways, the point I'm trying to make here is if I had just, taken a step back and stopped obsessing over the tape, that could have been a winning trade. And instead, we lost 5 cents, right? So I think, that's a good example of not sticking to the plan, like what we were talking about with those NVIDIA shorts, where I had a plan and the plan was just deeply flawed. Here, the AMD plan was solid. I just got a little bit too in my head and left the party a little bit early, and the party continuing to run to the upside. And I have to say, I do like this kind of consolidative top here, either for a short or for a range scalp. So I'm going to keep an eye on it. But yeah, I just think, I guess the point I'm trying to make here with this live in the wild AMD example, and I think too, OB you were talking about the Amazon trade as well with regards to looking at the tape and kind of seeing the potential confluence going on with VWAP. Like I think there's sometimes you can see stuff in the tape and it does align with the chart, but also, like make sure you use things in tandem with each other without kind of letting them override each other. Do you know what I mean? Because I think that's what happened with my AMD trade, where A, I should have looked at the tape longer and taken more time to consider that 145 level, and then B, I shouldn't have gone running scared because I saw one little blip in the tape. So I think, always learning, always growing, and I think just a hopefully a live example. Min M 66 asking how long I've been trading. So it's been I think around 3 months. Still in the sim, still very much learning and growing, and I feel like I'm learning a little bit more every day, hopefully. But this, it was a little bit of a setback, but as 21 Savage says, just trying to work towards taking less L's and making more M's. But yeah, so I think, but no, I think I do like the consolidated top on AMD. But yeah, I think it's a combination of looking at the tape and the book and what they give you, and then taking that into consideration, keeping note of it, seeing what the chart does, and then sticking to a plan. Is I think, because I think we were saying too, I asked like, at what point do sometimes you just have to get up from the desk and avoid the book and the tape, because sometimes they can lead you a little bit astray.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's a good transition into the next point there. Where and when can you potentially be looking at the tape here? And I tried to kind of show an example in and around VWAP. And again, it doesn't have to be at VWAP. I do have a kind of a list here. Where can you look at the tape for confluence, right? So for that confluence there, where can you potentially look? Again, off of structure, right? There's all this price action that's been kind of drawn in over X amount of time, and you can just be like, all right, well, this is kind of historical data. What can I infer from this chart here? Okay, so we got up to 147. Sellers kind of came in, we turned off of this 147. We come back in, can't really get quite to 147, and then we turn back in, holding on top of that 145. So we can see that this is a little bit of a structure from the week before, and you can see that VWAP, we have a strong drive off the open, right? Market is strong, so we have that tailwind. Amazon does pull back quite significantly, kind of into this area from before, where we saw those sellers get a little aggressive, and we sold off of similar price, not the same prices, similar prices, and then we get above that price today. So, and that has a confluence with VWAP as well. So I'm looking at the tape in and around that VWAP and attempting to give it some sort of risk here to look for that continuation trade, potentially back up, right? Back up into this consolidation high. 148s was kind of the plan there, and I did come up with the plan roughly on the spot there. Did plan it out a little bit there, but you can see how it kind of worked out. So it does come in. We can take a look at the 1 minute here to show us a little bit better. So VWAP was in and around this area right here. Let me just do this. So VWAP right here, excuse me, 147.50s-ish, so give or take a few pennies. There's also this low here that was made. So the intention was to look for a bid to firm up, or the bid to hold in and around VWAP for that continuation trade above that 147, taking it into the 148, and then reassessing for further highs there on Amazon. So that did kind of potentially come in. We saw, we talked about it a little bit earlier. We saw relative, it wasn't relatively large size, but relative to some of the other prices in the book, the 50s were printing some size in and around VWAP. So we know that volume was being done around VWAP. That's what the tape was showing us there. And then obviously, like, you can see that volume is being done at VWAP with these volume candles here, but you don't necessarily know how or what that price action really holds there unless you're looking at the tape, right? So I think we gave it the risk, and it happened to work out there. So we held VWAP. It wasn't a clean hold of VWAP, but we did hold VWAP nonetheless. Held above morning structure as well. Held above opening reaction high. Reclaim a VWAP, and then we got that push into 148 as well. Again, with the confluence of a strong market. So that's just an example of how I personally used a little bit of a tape read with confluence, with a whole bunch of other factors as well, to take a quick scalp on Amazon there. Again, just off of price action and tape and the chart there. So again. Different places I have written down that you can potentially be looking at the tape. Now, these are not all the places, but I did write a few down. At VWAP, we covered that one. At structure, so like any sort of ranges that you're seeing, I think we pointed out Softy. Softy was doing a decent range in the morning, but a 1 point range right here. So tape in and around some of these edges would definitely be a little interesting to me. Or if you have a longer time frame support or resistance level For example, sure, it's not a seriously longer time frame, but relatively longer to the intraday time frame are the past 2 days, right, from last week and on last week Thursday and Friday. So that's a little bit of a level on a higher time frame, and that 147 kind of comes in as well, that high from before. So I think those are all decent places to kind of take a look at the tape there. And again, you can use a lot of different things as well. If you have a moving average, if something is respecting the moving average on the day and it's super strong, maybe you want to look at the tape when price comes back into the moving average and it's been holding moving average for the past 20-30 minutes. You want to see if what happens when price kind of comes back into that moving average. Wow, Mara really strong off that high a day break. Again, we're seeing that acceleration of price action through the 26, and Bitcoin as well, super strong as we speak. Bitcoin makes new highs, 46 twos. I have on Coinbase. Yeah, on Coinbase we just clipped 46 twos there on Bitcoin. So yeah, definitely some strong buying pressure coming in on the cryptos here as of right now. And yeah, so very strong tape we're seeing there on Mara. Yeah, third time is a charm saying Comp SRX. Yeah, which side are you on? Are you taking the long off of through the 25 there? I think again, with Bitcoin acting like this, that 25 high a day, 25 might have been a decent place to interact with. Same place I kind of got out of the short there. So strong reason to buy, I would say, long or short through that 25. And again, market kind of coming in as well, very strong to the upside on the day today.
Yeah, also Sir Comberg SRX saying they said Moderna, not Mara. I just saw that.
Sorry.
Too. The tickers look very similar in the chat, but
yeah. I took a quick look. I was like, okay.
Yeah. I was gonna say too, just while you pull that
nice.
up, yeah, no, I appreciate what you were saying about like keeping an eye on specific levels and watching the tape then, because I think that like kind of allows you to step back from the tape a little bit. Sorry, I'll let you get to the Moderna.
No. I just wanted to take a look at it. Yeah, no, it's pretty strong on the day, making new highs. I thought you were in Mara, so again, that might change a thing or two there. Nice steady run up on Moderna. I wonder what our healthcare leader is up to. UNH not really looking at the same sentiment there. So interesting. Moderna might have something else going on as well. I haven't really looked at the ticker there.
I think Moderna might. Let me check. Yeah, I'm going to check Benzinga, but also while I do so, I would like to shout out our lovely sponsor, Benzinga Pro. Let's look at Moderna while I do this. Okay, so providing business and pipeline updates at the annual JP Morgan Healthcare Conference says product sales for 2023 of approximately $6.7 billion. And the U.S. COVID-19 market share season to date increased to 48% in 2023, up from 37% in 2022. So that is not insignificant. Okay. I have to say, shout out to Sharif. It's not negligible. But yeah, I will take this moment here to thank Benzinga Pro. So sign up today for 50% off their premier news and research platform for retail traders with code TTV, capital letters. That is TTV, capital letters. Use the link in the description to go to checkout. I mean, like, I love this. You can pull up anything and you can kind of see, like, you know, what it's doing. We've got news on, like, the SPY. That's how I got those Fed Bostic comments earlier, so I can just look up SPY, because it'll usually, Atlanta Fed President Bostic. And then you can, if you want to see just like the article, there we go. I've got the whole headline here. Yeah, I think a really useful tool. And with regards to the Moderna news, I thought, you know, there we go. We can just kind of look at the whole thing. Also, I will just address quickly, I am in this, I'm looking at Eli Lilly right now because I always am, but that's not actually the trade I'm in. It's not above a milli, so I'm not involved. Yeah, okay, actually, I might need to get out AMD now. I got involved in this short because I like that consolidated top. I like these failed wicks to the upside. If we close this candle above 146, I'm out, though. My initial plan for profit taking was, yeah, okay, I'm going to get out of AMD as I continue to yammer on about AMD. But yeah, I think we're going to break this top. If we break this top, it might go long. But yeah, I need to see us close above this this level to see if this is actually sustained, because I did like these failed wicks to the upside. I just, yeah, I'm not I'm not on my A game right now for trading, I have to say. Maybe it was, you know, maybe too long of a weekend, maybe because we were used to these long weekends and only had 2 days. I don't know, I'm not guess I'm not quite back in trading mode quite yet, but I think I really am going to take to heart what you were saying about looking at the tape with regards to predetermined levels, because I think that will hopefully kind of, help instead of me just getting involved all willy-nilly based on what the tape's doing. You know what I mean? Like, I think I really appreciate what you said there, because it does show like you need, at confluence, right? Like you need like multiple levels of confirmation before you get involved into a trade.
Yeah. No, I think that's important, right? You want to have factors of confluence that kind of help increase the probability, right? It'll kind of work with the probabilities there. But that being said, I do have to kind of point out that there are certain types of trades, tape scalps that are purely just off the tape. I don't even need the chart necessarily to really look for that. It can be just a quick, again, a few seconds to under a minute, just taking a quick scalp off of the tape. Like you see some buying pressure, some selling pressure, and you're just taking a quick little chunk off of that high probability move that you're looking for on the tape, with a little bit of imbalance that you might have, or imbalance or inefficiency or whatever you want to call it, that might have shown up on in and around some prices. So there's also those kinds of trades. But again, for most, I think for most everything else there, it does help to be confluenced with other factors when you're looking at the tape there. So again, we talked. Neil covered a little bit about the different things you're going to see on the tape. I do have a list here, kind of indicators like level 2 and tape indicators. So I'll just take a quick run through the list there. So before we talk about them, you can have reserves. You can have some. Now again, these are the indicators that I've personally observed. There can be way more. Like I know. Like again, I have to reiterate. I don't know anything, right? So these are the limited things that I know, or I think I know, that I've seen and have observed over the time that I have watched tape. So I do want to make that clear. So there's reserves. Reserves kind of show up that can indicate a large buyer or a seller, kind of. With iceberg orders on the tape. We all hear about iceberg orders. So if a level is iced, it can be showing like it can show like 1 or 2 lots on the bid. But then how you might be able to tell how if the level is an iceberg is the bid is holding, we're printing red, so we're printing on the bid. But you have way more than 100 lots that are printing, but the bid doesn't budge. But the bid shows only one lot, or one here, showing that participant is only interested in buying 1 lot. But you can see that even when sellers push into the bid and you get red prints, it'll only print that one price, only showing you that one gate and that one size. So that can be a little bit of an indicator that the level might be iced for a little bit, if not for long. So again, you can go deeper as well. How long is that iceberg there for? How it's kind of how it's testing. If it's there for a few seconds and it's gone, you might not. You know what I mean? You might give it less weighting than something that's iced for like half an hour. 146, you cannot break back down through 146. You're only printing 99s in the 145s, and that 146 is holding above VWAP. That might be a little bit more weighting than a random reserve that shows up somewhere else at some other price. So you can also have reloads as well, rebids, reloads. Kind of price comes in, you have some size showing up, that size gets filled, and then the size reloads. So there's clearly more transaction that is to be had by said participant. If you see kind of a price reloading size over and over again, maybe that price is not done transacting. So that's kind of a reload. You can get like stacks, multiple participants stacking up, or multiple gates stacking up at the same price. That can be a little bit indicative at times as well. And again, speed and aggression as well, right? So how fast is a tape moving, and how aggressive is it? We talk about kind of the gradient that I like to put, that kind of gives into the reading that aggression potentially. You can see how the bid is being pushed around, how the ask is being pushed around, and then kind of reference that back to how the tape is printing as well. Wow, Mara, super strong. We are holding and breaking through. Wow, Bitcoin is still going, saying Sean. So yeah, if Bitcoin's still going, then can't stop, won't stop is going to be Mara there on that strength through that 25, through that 26 as well. So, so those were the reloads and the stacks. We talked about speed. Again, relative change. I think is a big indicator as well. Sometimes you have tape that's slow and grindy, and then all of a sudden it speeds up. That could be an indication that we might be doing something. We might be going somewhere. And again, aggression. And the total opposite of that as well. Kind of tape stalling, right? Tape, like it gets to a price and then you can't even print that price. So a little bit of a stall as well if you come in or off of different prices. I think that can be indicative at times as well. But that's just a little bit of a list that I had. And again, color and gradient, I think definitely help to discern some of those indicators and some of the action and behaviors that are happening on the level 2 and the book there. So
yeah. Yeah, thank you for going over that. And I agree about aggression. Like, I think, and that's sometimes where I make mistakes and get out too early if I see aggression, because it's like, and you sometimes maybe you like just watch aggression and see if it gets to the level. Do you know what I mean? If we break a long, strong level with aggression, like something like NVIDIA, which I'm going to get to in 2 seconds, that can definitely be a sign, right? But I think also it's like, I think the biggest thing I've kind of learned from what you're saying is there's so many aspects to tape reading and book reading, and you have to kind of take them all in tandem. You can't really take one individually, because I think that's what I've kind of been doing. And I think, to kind of hopefully learn from everybody here, all of the traders here in the back, Sean, Neil, Brendan, Sharif, Obi, I feel like I learned a lot from you as well. I think and I really appreciate what you just said, because I think it does kind of show that, there's not just one aspect of any part of trading, right? And especially something like tape, you have to take it all kind of together and piece it together like a little puzzle and mosaic and see what happens. And so I appreciate you going over. Sorry, that was really roundabout, but that I appreciate that, and hopefully I'm going to learn something from this. But also Bitcoin. I just want to pull this up because Bitcoin was saying. Or Bitcoin was not saying, I'm so sorry.
Oh, Bitcoin's saying something.
Sean was saying Bitcoin 46.2. Bitcoin is also, I guess, saying that because it's doing that. But yeah, this is the daily chart on Bitcoin. Really good look. We broke out of, you know what? I don't want to try to chart something like Bitcoin because Bitcoin is a wild beast. But sort of a bull flag here, no? Because we did have that flag pull to the upside. Then we kind of had, this 44 top for a little bit. Then we made a 45 top, sorry. Then we pushed higher, decisive break above that 46.2. We just broke above that 46.2. So this is a really good look on Bitcoin. All of those coin-related names getting a nice buoy to the upside off of that strength. So I think that's a really good look here as well. Also, yeah, I have NVIDIA pulled up because NVIDIA did have that. Oh, NVIDIA fell. NVIDIA was doing that 516, pushed above that. We have fallen a good $1 since then. And I think the thing too is I always get nervous getting involved in NVIDIA at high of day because I've tried to do it before, when I first started. And again, I'm still very new, but when I first began, I would kind of think, oh, this thing's near high of day, it can only go higher, right? So I'd get involved in a name and I frequently did this with NVIDIA. This was, I think, when we were kind of around 450s. So this would be a while ago. This is, I think, mid-October, probably around thereabouts. But I would kind of get involved as we're breaking above, a key level. And then, of course, it can't sustain that, so it kind of goes to the downside, right? I think we have a little bit of that, too. That being said, I would not be shorting NVIDIA again here. I know I tried to do it again here, couple cents, really tight stop, just got out. But yeah, I think definitely what I learned here today is just because I think the tape is showing NVIDIA is lagging a little bit doesn't mean it's lagging. NVIDIA did clearly pull back a little bit off that 516, but we broke that 516 decisively. We're knocking on the door of 515 again. Shout out to Sharif for the knocking at the door thing. So yeah, we're gonna have to see where we go from here. But yeah, I think NVIDIA definitely, if we can make a nice kind of closing candle above that 515.12, I think that would be a good look. Clearly as the push to go higher. Sorry, NVIDIA, for shorting you. That was a massive mistake. I have hopefully learned my lesson. And yeah, I appreciate everybody in the chat. There was something that I think Rich Trading said in the chat that I really appreciated. And I want to see if I can find it here, because I thought that was a pretty good comment. Let me see here. Oh, I found it. Okay. Shorting a stock when the market is bullish is not really something to go for. It's better to look for long positions. It's worked for me. Yeah, thank you so much. I think that was kind of at the chat in general, but it's something I really appreciate you saying, and I appreciate everybody always in the chat like sharing, their POVs and their thoughts and their experiences on trading, because it's a community. And I think I really appreciated you saying that. I think it's something that I'm trying to be better at, because I clearly, this was so counter trend of me. I thought I saw something here. I thought we were seeing, we did have this little candle to the downside. I thought we were seeing lower lows and lower highs. I should have ignored that and just focused on the fact that NVIDIA broke 500 and is up like 4.5% today, right? So I think that's an interesting look. Greg Moore saying, I think your instincts were spot on with NVIDIA. Well, thank you. Looking for break of the UTL. As the pennant break is looking to fall, I'm taking puts. Yeah, I think really everyone's gonna have different strategies of trading, right? And I do appreciate you saying that, Greg Moore. Yeah, and the thing is too, what Obi was saying, right? Like I stuck to the plan. It's just now going back and evaluating were there issues with the plan? But I do appreciate your insight, Greg Moore. I appreciate everybody's insight here in the chat. Yeah, I think the 5-minute time frame to mention John Harper here might have also been a mistake. But I also do think I'm going to take stock.
Is it at 50 yet?
Oh, Bitcoin. Oh my God. But yeah, to take stock of, pun slightly intended, what Obi was saying with regards to, looking at the tape in tandem with, are we moving with VWAP? What's the chart doing? What's the speed? I think that's something I need to do more of, rather than just looking at the tape and being like, yeah, here we go. And also, I think I'm going to start doing what you did, and looking at the tape specifically when we get to key levels. So you're not looking at the entire, you're looking at a sub sample. Yeah. Right, to kind of use a slightly scientific term as someone with no science background. But I think that's interesting, looking at a subset of the population instead of every single tape read you get. So I think that's an interesting look. Yeah.
Thanks. I lost my train of thought for a second.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, very strong move there. Hey, with Mara and Bitcoin moving like this, I might be a little, just a little distracted, right? I'm like, wow, that's quite a strong move there. Very, very strong reason to buy through that high a day. So again, I got to reassess and kind of go back and look at this trade. Clearly, I was not in the right kind of headspace trading Mara without watching Bitcoin. So yeah, Bitcoin raging to the upside here as we push in. Wow, take a look at this right here. So 46.8s. So we're almost pushing 47s here. So you know what? I want to take a quick look left and just check out some levels here. We'll go to the weekly since we are breaking some long-term levels here on the Bitcoin. So where is the next stop? Right away, 48.15. So 48.15s, I guess. 48,150 is that previous high. Kind of selling, got aggressive here. So that again, let's see if that resistance is still there, or does that resistance turn into support if price kind of pops above and push back? Oh boy, are we have we come a long way from that 16,000 consolidation hold and pushing up into the 50s, right? So very, very strong move there on Bitcoin, and we can see again. I'm watching this aggressive tape there on Mara as we went through that high of day. Not only just the high of day, some previous levels as well. I'm curious to know what Coinbase is up to.
There's actually a super chat about coin, so that's like really good timing.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, I love that. I heard that. It was like
yeah, Willis Addison with a super chat. Thank you. Let's go. Caught the 148 dip. Coin 165 calls with the January 19th expiry. Nice, dude. Nice little 150 came in on Coin. Hey, wow, that's pretty crazy there. A little bit of a support level from last week comes in and holds more of the same. I wish I was looking at the tape down here at that 150 and the reclaim of VWAP and then push through high a day. Very, very nice there. I'm curious to know, Bitcoin's really raging and pushing some longer term highs there, and Coin hasn't necessarily gone past last week's consolidation high at 161. That's an interesting look there. I might, you know what? Yeah, I'll just, let's see if I got any alerts there. So yeah, okay, I'll put an alert there at previous week's consolidation high for a potential look there at Coin. But yeah, those of you who have already been trading it, good look there. Let me see if, again, I do want to keep a watch on Bitcoin if and when it does start to pull back. I may or may not be interested, so I'm just going to keep that on watch as well. Before we kind of continue on with the tape reading lesson we have going on here today. So But yeah, no, I think you spoke on like areas and confluence and stuff. I really over the past a few months there, I've really started to understand how important it is to kind of build like a story, build a bigger picture of like, okay, so for example, I'm going to use Amazon again here. Again, might be a little comfortable with it, but we talked about that 147 last week. Strong sellers off that 147. So that's the first piece of the story there. So the story was 147, resistance, strong sellers. How do we know? We don't know, but the chart is showing that whenever it pulls up into the 147, it's being sold off. So coming in today, you hold that 147 off of a strong open and then a flush back down, you hold that 147. So it's, that's interesting. There were sellers here, or there was selling interest here last week. What's going to happen now? We've kind of pulled back into that 147 off of a 148 push, and we're holding in and around VWAP. So clearly, if there were even any sellers there, they've clearly stepped off for as of right now. They're not, the buying pressure is overwhelming the selling pressure here. And plus you have a confluence of hold above VWAP, in and around VWAP as well. And yeah, so all of those things kind of confluencing positions you, I think, in a higher probability to take a quick scalp off. But again, that's with the limited experience and that I've had over the past few months or so, I guess. But yeah, building that bigger picture, right? You see that hold, you see it hold higher, and then you're watching the tape in and around these areas. You were potentially watching tape here as well to even have a stronger confluence, right? So. And then you're like, okay, wow, this is relative change to what we were seeing on the tape and the price action at these prices from last week. And that kind of builds into the idea. It's like, okay, well, now that we've seen that, now I want to take a look at tape at VWAP to see if we hold for a continuation move to the upside, if we are going to do any sort of reverting of this move down from 55. So we know we were trading at 55s, we broke down 53s, we flushed pretty heavy. We saw that last week was a pretty red week, and coming into this week, we're catching a little bit of a bid back into some of last week's levels as well. So you can see the high. This is classic support, turning into a little bit of a resistance as of right now. So another great place to potentially keep an eye on the tape there. So again, there's examples all around, right? There's examples all around of potential areas where you can use tape in your trading. Again, it's a work in progress for myself. I'm still learning how to effectively incorporate tape reading into the trade plan as well. And then as of recent, I've been trying to get a lot more specific with like if-then statements of like, I specifically want to see this happen to do this, and I want to see this happen to do this. So if it does this, I'm going to do this. If it does that, I'm going to do that. And I guess a big part of 2024 is going to be working on a more meticulous and specific trading plan with different branches of possibilities, so that like I'm doing the least amount of thinking, right? Yeah. It's like I'm like, okay, is it doing one of my scenarios? No, then it's probably not a trade. And if it is, then I do want to potentially put risk on as well. So. Yeah, level 2, a great tool for kind of taking a look at market depth and giving a little bit of confluence to your trading.
Confluence, yeah. You know, I like that, and I think the whole idea of a story, I think, is a really good way of looking at it. I mean, I write, like I I've talked about that. I do write, like outside of trading and stuff. So I think that, like, probably a good way for me to look at it, right? Like, letting the market or letting the stock and letting all of the different elements tell you, tell you how it's feeling, right? Like, kind of paint that out. I mean, I think like it makes sense, like charting, it's sort of visual. It makes sense that we'd have like some kind of story to, to kind of accompany that. So I think that's an interesting look. I also did get involved, I should mention this, in a riot long here. My out is if we break below this 15.9. We're kind of holding around my point of entry, the 16 area. I might take some profit out of that like high, so 16.10. I realize it's a really low stakes trade, but I'm trying to getting, I kept like doing shorts against momentum, and I'm trying to, get out of that. So I just wanted to take like, a trade that I feel like, we have some decent setup. I want to take out part of this position at this 16.10, and then I want to look at the daily chart as well, because I want to make sure that I'm planning out my my exit. So yeah, I think like, I mean, we'll see, like, piece for the dream. We'll see what happens here. I think if we get to like, 1620, it could be of interest as well. I will admit I probably should have planned this one out a little bit more because this 16 top seems to be, we had it here. We went back to the downside. We hit 16 twice, then went down. I think with it being, I almost said a chip name. With it being a coin or related name, I think, we do have a little bit of strength here. I like these failed look to the downsides that keep getting bought up. Definitely going to take some profit around the 610, 615, and then figure it out from there because I want to make a trade that I feel confident in, and I don't also want to overstay my welcome because crypto names are very volatile, as Bitcoin is very volatile, right? So I think that's going to be kind of what it is. I like, Willis Silverthorne saying, just react, bro. What is its nature? Math it as it goes. Yeah, I mean, solid point there. I think that's a really interesting thing to note. I do not like that we're getting a little, swoop into the downside here, but, I'm just going to relax. I know that I have my plan to leave at 15.9, and I'm just going to let it occur. I think so. I'm like the tape here, I'm just gonna not pay too much attention to it. I know we were just talking about tape, but I also think part of talking about tape is not being overly reliant on it either, which has been, an issue that we both of us kind of discussed, and that derailed an AMD trade in front of my eyes today, and in a wild example. So I think I'm definitely just learning and growing and figuring out the appropriate balance, and that's why I think the if-then statements, too.
I think that I think it'll be good for my trading. Again, like I said, I'm more recently trying to get. Again, I've had if-then statements before, but now I'm trying to get even more specific with those if-thens and try to have a bigger, more branches of those if-thens, so I don't get caught like, oh, maybe this, or maybe it kind of looks like this plan I had kind of coming in. Again, it's not going to be perfect, but that planning aspect of the trading journey definitely is a work in progress. And again, execution as well. We talk about today. I didn't necessarily plan out the NVIDIA trade, right? And NVIDIA, again, just to speak on like planning and how it can be done much better. That's not it right there. Let me pull it up again. I was like, there's no way I shorted NVIDIA today. Okay, so so right here. Early on, so I didn't necessarily plan on it, and I got to do better at like coming up with a proper plan in intraday as well. Kind of if something I might have missed in the morning, but it never clipped my stop here, getting in on a dip buy through that 500, and I wasn't necessarily prepared. This is a beautiful trade. This is the trade of the day, in my opinion. Kind of a strong NVIDIA leading the market towards a little bit of a reversion from the selling that we've been having over the past couple of weeks, or past week or so. A couple of weeks on Apple, but a couple of weeks or 1 week on the SPY there. But yeah, strong. And then we break brand new highs. We push 2 fresh highs on NVIDIA coming in today, and that breakout happens within the first 10 minutes of trading. So that even higher probability of a push through that 500. So no real plan there, not many if-thens, but a quick tape scalp nonetheless. Right? Yeah. I was like, oh, pull back on top of the opening range. I like the strength. We're pushing up through the highs. It has a potential catalyst there. Take a quick scalp into the 500. I'm trying to work out some cash flow for the push through 500, but again, no planning there. So a little bit of a fumble in terms of execution structure to really capture this move here. And then all throughout this upward kind of push, I'm like, yeah, I can get involved, but I'm looking for a nice healthy pullback to get involved, and that doesn't necessarily come in. Now, I do have to do a little bit of a reassessment here. We do get a little bit of a consolidation and a chop and a churn at this higher, this structure over here. So maybe this was the pullback. Maybe this was the consolidation that I do need to start looking at to get involved in if a ticker is that strong pushing through all-time highs, right? Maybe I shouldn't be looking for a pull all the way back down to 505s or even closer to 500s to maybe continue the long there, and that's kind of what it showed me. So that's something a little bit of a side note of a strong trade on NVIDIA today. A little bit of a tape scalp off the opening kind of action there, but fumbled the trade itself because I didn't necessarily have a strong plan coming in. My plans did not consist of NVIDIA. I had a little bit of Apple. I did had a little bit of JPM as well. Totally forgot about JPM, and I had Boeing as well. So I want to quickly check out what JPM is up to real quick. But okay, JPM didn't really do what I was looking for. Again, we talk about if-then statements, right? So not really holding some of these levels from last week, kind of selling back off into the bottom of the range. So no real trade for me right now. But yeah. Like I said before, I was reading through some of them earlier, but yeah, let us know in the chat if you guys have had some crazy tape stories or a time where you've used the tape to kind of assist with your trade plan there on the day, or even on a swing, right? Even on a swing.
That's true too, yeah.
It's a potential used for potential entries and exits. If you like a certain level that you want to swing off of, maybe that's the area that you want to watch the tape, and everything else in between, you don't necessarily want to get involved, right? So maybe even for bigger time frame participants, I think reading the tape can pose as a decent place to interact with, and a decent tool to use to really get specific with your entries and exits. I think that's just my opinion, but yeah.
No, I like that you brought it as well back to swing trading too, because we were talking a little bit about swing trading last week. Michael Noss was great, and he actually came on, made a little cameo too on the midday show talking about swing picks. So I think it's cool because we do have a lot of swing traders in the chat as well, right? And I think learning how the connection between swing trading and tape trading is something I'm not super familiar with, so it's something I'd like to learn as well. Yeah, I think I think what's cool too is everybody is coming at trading from a different POV, different experiences. So I think everything everyone has to have is really helpful. Also, I really appreciated here. Where was this now? Grandma Ruby in the chat. Adara, it's so cute watching you and Obi growing and learning what you want to be when you grow up, because I'm always using that with regards to stocks. So, I mean, thank you so much for the support.
Who
we love
do
being
I want
here
to be?
learning.
Who do I want to be 1 year from now, right? That's what I have to kind of envision and work towards, right? And it's like, clearly, I don't want to be making the same kind of fumbles, the same kind of mistakes, or just like I want to stay learning, and I think some of the best ways to learn is making those mistakes, but at the same time, don't want to repeat the same ones over and over again. So I think that's a good look. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I think that's I just appreciated that, because I think they call it a learning curve for a reason, right?
Oh.
Like you're not gonna be 100% the whole
steep,
time.
yeah.
Oh yeah. And I mean, I'm gonna bring this up because some people mentioning NVIDIA in the chat as well. Like these NVIDIA shorts, man. I mean, I think I stayed to the plan, so I can't be too upset, and I appreciate you for bringing that one up, because I was initially kind of getting down on myself for these. But it's like, if you stick with the plan, you can't be too upset, right? But I think also too now the key is just evaluating the plan. Like, why did I do this? Yes, we had lower highs, lower lows, but this stock was up. I mean, now 5+% of the day, we did have all-time highs, or I guess intraday. The more I think about it, the more I'm like, why did I do this? You know what I mean? So I think that's kind of an interesting look. I think this right now though, NVIDIA, I would say the tape is doing NVIDIA tape things. I find NVIDIA and Tesla as two of the mega caps I trade a little bit more than the others, although I will say, I'm usually trading a good amount of the mega caps. I think NVIDIA and Tesla tend to have kind of more wild tapes. Like we just saw NVIDIA go, but we're holding 516 really well. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, look at this. Like we wigged out 516 for NVIDIA, and we're just holding it. We're just balancing on it like a little ballerina on point here. I really like this. And then we go back up, right? So 516 right now, looking at the tape, I mean, you have to look at it in tandem with everything else as well right now. But we had that huge move into 516 and then down from 516 earlier. Now 516 seems to be a little bit stronger, right? So that's just some tape reading there on NVDA. Do you have any trading plans for the rest of the day going into the afternoon here?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still kind of waiting for Boeing there. Amazon potentially, maybe as well, but yeah, no, Boeing kind of interesting as well. Market's super strong on the day, and like I said, I think if there was one good trade today, I think that might have been that NVIDIA through the 500 there. That was definitely a mint trade. But then again, there's always a lot of opportunities across the market. This is just my opinion that was probably the trade of the day, kind of taking the market along for the ride as well there. And Sean kind of pointing out that was probably on a sticky note this morning. Yes, just give me Okay, all right.
animation
But
was up.
with only about 3 minutes or a few minutes left, you know what? You guys have any quick questions to kind of end off? I know a few minutes is not too long there, but we'll try to do our best before we kind of wrap it up to answer a few questions there. And if we can't, I'm sure the professionals right beside us can more than handle your tape reading questions for sure as well. So let us know in the chat real quick. As to what questions you may have for the tape reading, I'll do the best of my abilities here to kind of answer those. And if we can't do that, then I'm sure Neil and Sean will have some information to kind of give us there as well. But yeah, pretty solid session there. Kind of my first time doing this trade lesson thing. I kind of came up with a little bit of some topics there.
Yeah, he killed it. He did. I think you did a great job.
I had some notes. But yeah, covered most of the things there. But yeah, just a basic outline of tape layout and potential uses of where it can be. And again, just how I've so far been, or how we've so far been kind of using it for our trading in our journey here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and I like how you've customized yours. It's something I really need to work on because I've done very little of that. Like I just kind of like reading it and then I get too into it. But I need to take a step back, do all the little colors and the color coding and have a little bit more fun with the customization. Also, I just want to, Evan11 saying here, 199 super chat, thank you so much. AAL emoji. So let's take a look at AAL. AAL had an upgrade from, was it Wells Fargo? I feel like it Morgan Stanley. I was totally off. Sorry, it was Morgan Stanley. Yeah, AAL, I can go like quickly. We have like a minute here, but I can just take a look at this. It's up 7% on the day, running into a little bit of, a speed bump here. I guess it's in the air, so not a speed bump. Turbulence at this 455, 460 area. Really nice look though, but we did that earlier today too. We 1, 2, 3 bumps of this 1444 before moving back up, right? So I don't think this is necessarily, totally cloudy skies here for AAL. Still up about 7%. Let me quickly look at the daily. Oh, RIP my chart there, so I guess we're not looking at the daily. But yeah, I think AAL, especially in a day where all of these other flight adjacent names are down, very much a good look. I think, obviously like that very scary Boeing situation aside, I think AAL, like American Airlines, holding up really well today in a day where a lot of these airline, I did have the daily up. These airline adjacent names are not doing as much. Yeah, I think, quickly glancing at this here, I think 1460, definitely an area we've rejected off before. I think reclaiming that and going higher would be a good look. We already looked like we had a bit of an upward trend, so I think that would confirm that.
Nice. Yeah. I like that. You kind of unloaded the clip of puns right there in the last couple of minutes there.
There we go.
On the airline
I
tickers.
like that analogy. Yeah. But yeah, it looks like 2 p.m. Are we ready to go? Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Everyone. Thank you so much, Obi, for being here.
Thanks for having me.
And yeah, now we.
I hope you guys learned something.
Yeah.
Something of value.
I think I learned a lot. So yeah, I appreciate that alone. I think other people will hopefully learn as well. But for now, I will see you tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel. Avec Sharif. For now, Brendan's at the big desk.
Hey guys, yeah, welcome in. 2 o'clock on a busy Monday afternoon here. Just be aware, Bostic speaking right now, making some comments on the overall conditions of